All right, hello and welcome to the fifth episode of the InstantCast podcast. InstantCast podcast. This is again live streamed, so no cutting that out.
That's in there.
Yeah. For those who were wondering where the last week's episode is, we have some issues with Google at the moment. They are not reading my DMs, so to speak, and we've. Oh yeah, we can't post the videos right now. I won't get into it, but it's been a full big hassle. I was at the Google offices today and tried to figure it out, but we couldn't figure it out. Either way, for now, if you want to catch the fourth episode, which was last week's episode, you can go to my own YouTube channel, youtube.com/nickel. I will also be posting this episode there, so that's probably where you're viewing this if you're not catching us live on Twitch, on twitch.tv/InstantCast. So go check us out there next week if you want to catch us live. And why would you want to catch us live, Judas?
Well, you get to see it all in the flesh as it happens. We do not edit these videos down, or at least we haven't needed to yet. Who knows when that might happen? But yeah, for the time being, it's just been as real as it gets. And yeah, of course, you can tune in live and take part in the Twitch chat experience as well, chatting with the other viewers or just us. Again, we haven't had much of a chance yet to have any kind of viewer interaction, but long term, that is something we'd like to do. Particularly at the end of an episode, we can just
Yeah,
sort of maybe address any questions or points that have been raised in the
I'd like a
Twitch
little
chat.
Q&A, yeah. That'd be
Yeah,
great.
and of course, if you do like us on Twitch, you can, if we ever do have another fight with Google, you can check out the VOD, I believe, on the
Yeah,
Twitch channel
VOD
itself.
is always posted, yeah.
Yeah, plenty of ways to catch us if needed, and yeah, that's all we're really looking for at the moment. It would be nice to have it on our designated InstantCast YouTube channel, youtube.com/InstantCast, but it's not happening right now.
Not happening right now, but we did actually get some feedback on Reddit 2 weeks ago now. I mentioned it on the last episode, but because that episode wasn't posted on YouTube, I want to mention it again. If you're catching this episode, leave a comment below. Type it in the Twitch chat if you're catching us live, or leave a comment on the Reddit post that I always post on Fridays with the link to the video. If you have any feedback, any questions whatsoever, we'd love to make this as good as it can be. We'd love to answer some questions if you have some. So yeah, whatever you might want to share with us, please do. We're more than happy to look through it, and we will. How you been this week, Judas?
I'll be good. It's still hot. Can you believe it is still hot? I'm sat in Wales, particularly in possibly the rainiest city in the entire country, and I haven't seen rain in a long time. Nickel, this is a shock.
Really,
Yeah,
you're in Britain and you haven't seen
no.
rain.
There was a period of time recently where it was something like in the months just gone by, something like between September and March, it rained every day. I'm
Oh,
not
really?
kidding.
Okay.
At least for some of the day, it rained
Even
every day. It
even
hasn't
during the
rained
winter,
for
it didn't
yeah, yeah,
snow.
yeah.
Just
Didn't
pure.
snow.
Okay.
We're
Okay.
actually too close to the ocean. We don't even get snow.
Wait, you
We
don't at all?
just get more rain. Very rarely. It's specifically why. In fact, I think there was a big snowstorm in the UK last year just gone by, and there were two cities that did not get snow,
At
and it
yours
was
or
Swansea and Cardiff. Yes, one
yeah.
of mine. So yeah, it is a very rainy place. Unless you haven't seen rain for weeks, it is
Oh.
quite shocking actually. But yeah, hopefully carrying this heat, carrying this momentum into this podcast this week.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta say, as a Norwegian, snow is like a blessing and a curse, but it's mostly a curse if you're unprepared, especially, or if you
Yeah,
have a house. And for most of my
yeah.
life, we had a house, and like the plowing and the things freezing, and the house was kind of old, so some of the pipes would freeze. Like
Oh
it
man.
was a whole thing. I was wondering something. I don't exactly remember, but do you? Okay, yeah. As a person from Wales, do you consider yourself uh, a part of Great Britain, or when you think of yourself, you're like I'm Welsh and that's me. I'm not British.
Yeah, if I was to introduce myself, I would introduce myself as Welsh. And then if someone was to ask, "Oh, does that mean you're also British?" I would say yes, but I
Mm.
would never introduce myself as British.
Okay. Okay.
It's funny, obviously being in the Smite scene and everything, and interact across the pond quite a lot, with high res or other North American communities and things like that. And there's so much confusion over it, where they basically just bubble us all, everyone who's from
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
EU, and pretty much all of us were British casters who interact over there. We all just got lumped in as just the British guys and stuff like that. So
Even like
yeah, that
Spanish people, like,
yeah,
they're all
pretty
the
much.
same over there anyway.
Well, yeah. It's just they're EU. They all sound like that. But yeah, no, even though
You're
there is quite a
mate.
significant difference. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, but again, I would personally like to identify myself more as Welsh rather
Okay.
than
I
British.
did hear from a Welshman once. He said, well, oh yeah, he said, if it's a world war, we're with Britain, with England. Yeah. Anything
Yep.
else? No.
Yeah.
Football, cricket, whatever it is,
Mhm.
fuck them. But if it's a world war, we're in there.
I'm sorry, Nickel. You named the only other sport where England and Wales are combined, and that is cricket. You
Fuck.
managed to name two sports. One of them happened to be the one that you messed up. We
Well,
also
see,
take part
that
as
shows
Great
what
Britain
I
in the
know,
Olympics.
All right, let's get into some Smite. Okay, we got a few things today. I've been mentioning drama at the start of every episode. This time we actually got some. So we are getting into some drama. But first, they have revealed the roadmap for the next two gods. One of them has been also showcased, and the other one is in PTS right now. Why don't you start us off with Chulainn, which was showcased on Tuesday?
Yeah, so Chulainn. We had a quick discussion about Chulainn recently over how I am like not excited at all for this god because man, it's Chulainn. Like it's just kind of Chulainn, right? But a lot of people are excited for Chulainn, so I don't want to be the one to say, oh yeah, this patch sucks. It's only just no. Some people are really up for this god. I do have some queries over the aspect, so I'll get to that in a moment.
Yeah, we'll talk about the aspect later. Yeah.
Yeah, just touching on the card itself, like it is good to have a relatively simple but potentially very lethal and, as we discussed before, potentially high skill ceiling god being introduced, particularly into the solo lane, which can just kind of get a little bit stale. Having a new god there will definitely freshen things up for solo laners. Again, it's the solo lane core of people that seem to really love this god. I'm very happy that they're there. It also seems to just be coming in as pretty much unchanged, right? You look at the small changes, so Bob Spear stunning jungle monsters in addition to minions. This was just always one of those weird abilities, right? That stuns minions for some reason, but not jungle caps. So it's nice
I gotta say though, they on the showcase when this was talked about, I think it's Caps is the guy. I don't. So don't quote me on this, but I think Caps Lock, or Caps is what they call him on the show. Is the guy who goes through these with Hinderman and Kilgun, and he said, "Yeah, so now it stuns jungle monsters because Chulainn was like this and sometimes a jungler," and I'm like, "In what fucking patch was that? What do you mean he's a jungler?" But I mean, I think it just makes sense. Like it's a good addition. I think it won't change much. I don't think this will now make him a jungler. I got rose, but he in my 12, 13 years of playing Smite now, 14 years actually.
Whoa.
I don't think he's ever been a jungler. Like I mean, he hasn't been out for the 14 years, obviously, but I don't think.
I've definitely seen people try it, and again, it's never been like competitively viable or anything. But people have tried it, and people would like to try it, right? Why limit this god to just one role? You kind of can't play anywhere else, right? If you were going to play him anywhere, you really couldn't play this god support. If you were to put it anywhere else, it would be jungle, and this just kind of helps that. He doesn't have to be a good jungler, right, for people to want to play it, right? So it's totally fine.
Yeah, this takes him from not at all viable to at least you can try it out. At least you have the option to. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and yeah, it's just a nice. Again, it's just a consistency change because I don't even know why the ability stuns minions, but it does. So having it stun jungle monsters is actually more impactful than it stunning minions, right? You think like the blue buff when it starts doing that, shocking ability, which potentially could stun you and really mess you up. If you can stun through that, I believe is how that will work.
Same with it's just speed buff that does like the circles on the ground, the red buff that has the bigger attack. All of this kind of stuff for a jungler at least is things you think about when clearing camps. So it's nice to have that. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the obviously the change to vent anger as well, just being able to the perfect comparison is Bacchus, like just be able to manipulate the passive meter with the passive manipulating skill
Yeah.
before it actually does any damage is totally fine. I can't see a negative to this,
No,
because
great change again. Yeah.
yeah, like there's that little bit of play around, where you would try maybe at level 2-ish to trigger the rage when you're in a safe space, if you're the opponent, whereas now you don't have complete control over that. But you still you still could, right? It's not like this vent anger is just, oh, I'm just going to set it to whatever passive I want, right? Like no,
Yeah.
it's still a vent. You still have some input on it. It's just now the player of Cucullin actually has some input. So yeah, I do
Yeah.
think that's actually a really nice change.
I think this though is just kind of shows what this is like. What we mentioned last week's episode actually is like the identity of the character. This vent anger is like the main. This is what I mentioned as
Yes.
well. Is like the main skill expression you can use with this character is controlling your rage. I think that is also the main reason why he's probably not gonna be a good jungler, is because you can't build that rage very easily, or the what's it called, like consistently. You can't
Yeah.
control the rage because you are very reliant on jungle camp spawns, and when can you gank? Like you want to gank when your rage is full. What if it isn't, and you need to
Yep.
gank right now? Like that's the kind of things that makes him less of a good jungler in my opinion. But yeah, I love that he's in the game now. Can't wait to uh play him in solo. Sorry, he's such a lane bully. Is like his main role, and I feel like there's some lane bullies in the game right now, but they're way more focused on just killing you over and over versus Coquelin, which is more dominance over area, and yeah, I don't know.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm not to
Just
explain
pressure,
it.
right?
Yeah,
Just
pressure.
general
That's
like
it. Yeah, that's
high
the word I
high
was looking.
pressure, high lane pressure, similar to Hades, but not so like all in as Hades, right?
Yeah.
Where Hades is extremely vulnerable sometimes, whereas yeah, I think Cucullin will have similar sort of pressure potential. And it could be a really good map for him, right? That's one thing we haven't really gotten to touch on previously, is that the Smite 2 map is just inherently different to
Yeah.
Smite 1. And the way that the solo lane is set up right now, you think things like being able to teleport to lane, so you don't need to buy
Hmm.
teleport, right? That's actually when Cucullin was out and in lane, teleport was pretty much always there, right? Whereas now, not so. So you have that other relic space, like you could start playing early Blink Cucullin, right? Which you
Yeah.
definitely wouldn't have had access to previously. So it's nice that you can experience the god in a little bit of a different way. So yeah, I think things like the way the totem works right now is good for Cucullin. Again, just a vent. You could just stand next to it if you wanted to, just like calmly hit it, vent some anger on it. There's all these little things which seem to suit the god. So yeah, I could actually see Cucullin be very strong.
Yeah. You said playing him differently in some kind of ways, and why don't we segue that into him being, and this is sarcasm, everyone, completely different with his aspect.
um, I am a bit confused on this aspect. Oh well, not
Yeah.
confused because that's inherently negative, which we
Yeah.
said we're
Okay.
not going to
Sorry.
do, Nickel.
Sorry.
So we're
Sorry.
not going to do
Sorry. Yeah.
this.
That was the feedback we got on the Reddit. Just so everyone know, the feedback we got was that we were complaining for 2 hours. So that we're
Yeah,
trying to be more positive.
a
But
little
I
bit
do have
more
to
positive.
mention, guys, we are not high res. They don't pay us. We are just two guys who love the game. We love what high res is trying to do, but it's also kind of our job and our what's the word I'm looking for? Like we're
A
obligated to
responsibility.
responsibility. That's it.
Yeah.
To call out high res when we think they're making detrimental decisions to the game, or when they have missed the mark on something, because hopefully this message will reach them, and then they can maybe fix the issues that we at least see. And again, we don't speak for the whole community. We're just speaking for ourselves. But we do have kind of what's it called, like vines into the community, and I
Mhm.
hear a lot of stuff from a lot of people, especially as a ranked solo queue grinder. I get a lot of different opinions. And you with the casting scene and your semi-pro journey right now, like we get a lot of opinions thrown at us, and we're trying to
Yep.
like find the general Smite community's take and then deliver that to you guys. But we also, bring our own takes into this, and And sometimes it can be negative because high-res are making a lot of mistakes, as we saw on the Bug Apocalypse episode a couple of weeks back. Yeah,
So
walk
this
me
one
through this
is
aspect.
yeah. Quick explanation for at least my interpretation of being someone who didn't actually watch the Titan Talk and actually witness it. So maybe you can correct anything. But I think a lot of people also get information this way, like you'll read it and then try to make, okay, this is what I think. So my interpretation of this is that you begin in Berserk form, which is obviously the larger Cucullin form. You then can still gain rage from this point, and when you gain 100 rage while in this form, you turn warped, which is another form, a bigger form, or a
Giga Rage.
Giga Rage, right?
Yeah,
so Giga Rage form.
Wait, have you actually not seen this?
I've not witnessed it. I think
Okay.
I do believe I've seen an image of the larger.
Yeah, he just
version.
is the exact same model as when he's Rage or Berserk, which is what it's called. He's the exact same form. He's just bigger. Like imagine you
Right.
popped a Totem of Ku. So he just grows.
Oh,
a little
Totem of
larger.
Death thing where you like Totem of Death? No.
What's it called?
Dreamer's Idol.
Dreamer's Idol. That's it.
yeah.
Yeah, or the axe one. I don't remember the name of it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, there was another one. Yeah.
Anyway.
So it's Avatar's Parachute. That's it.
There you go.
So
this caster. Okay.
Got it. I'm a chair one, bro. I don't need this.
Yeah.
Anyway. But yeah. So it just seems like you have Berserk form, then warped form, which is just a bigger Berserk form. Can't wait to see people combine that with Avatar's Parachute and Dreamer's Idol, which we saw before with Hercules. We know it's possible. I'm sure they would show it, and yeah, people are gonna do it.
It just gets a little bigger. It doesn't really change much. I gotta be honest. Like, it gets a little bigger.
And then you go back to human form with reduced protections and damage. So it basically seems like you are widening the sort of like you are weaker when you're weaker and stronger when you're stronger, right? So sort of widening.
But you're also weaker in the middle.
You're weaker in the middle compared to compared to when you are Berserk in
normal,
regular non-aspect. Right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. So the warped form, just to clarify, that has the same abilities as regular Berserk. You're just bigger and presumably higher damage and higher protections.
The warped. So
yes.
So from what I remember, I watched this earlier today. From what I remember, it's you gain like a big shield based on your health, and like the same kind of buff as you would if you were normal Cucullin going to Berserk.
Oh right. Okay,
and your attack, your basic attack cleaves.
They'll cleave. Yeah, that makes sense. I could see that one coming. So the reason I have an issue with this aspect is it sounds cool enough, right? The way you make it the sort of based around the rage a bit more, and particularly the bigger form. But it feels a little bit like what we've seen previously with things like the Thanatos aspect, where it is either just better or it is just worse.
Yeah.
I'm struggling to see a scenario where I don't know. Maybe the warp form has other things like are you knockback immune? Are you does it have like
didn't
crazy
look like
stuff
it,
like
that?
They
didn't mention
didn't
it.
Look like
so...
that. Yeah. That's the thing. It's like it's gotta be so good to justify the weak human form stance, right? Because I'm picturing that like you think Overwatch, where that's like a pilot diva mode, like you just either ignore it or you kill it, right? If the human form Cucullin is that bad that you just ignore it or kill it, then this aspect sucks. If the human form Cucullin is still pretty good, then this aspect is just better than regular Cucullin, right?
Yeah.
And I understand wanting to work with the rage, and you kind of can't role shift with this particular type of aspect, right? It's not a support aspect. It's not an ADC aspect like some people have been complaining about and everything. So I understand maybe the decision to keep it like just do an aspect that's more of like an enhanced version of it. But it just seems like it's either going to be better or again, if this just turns out to be better, why not just make this base Cucullin?
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing. It's like this is when they made Cucullin in Smite 1. They had two ideas. Wait, does he have 3 levels or just 2 levels? And then right before they were actually starting to make him, they're like, all right, we gotta choose. We'll choose 2 levels because that's easier to code. or works better for what we imagine right now. And then they just kept that 3-level thing on ice, and then now they're bringing it out as an aspect because it's easier than actually coming up with something more creative. But it's just the same character with different strengths and drawbacks. It's not like a new character. It's just exactly the same thing. If you're in human form, you want to be berserk, and if you're berserk, you want to be warped. It's the exact same thing, except now you have the drawback of what if you become human? You are just useless for the next,
However
40
long,
seconds
right?
until you're
Yeah.
while you're trying to build up your rage again. It's exactly what you're saying. Is because it covers the exact same niche,
Yeah.
which Cuchulainn covers. It's just going to be, it's either the aspect or not the aspect. I don't see any world where they're both viable in different types of way. Unless they change normal Cuchulainn to be more of a jungler, then I could see, okay, normal Cuchulainn jungles, this
Yeah.
aspect can
Yeah.
be played in solo. That's the
Yeah.
only thing I see, but which I don't want. I want normal
May,
Cuchulainn to be normal Cuchulainn.
maybe the aspect works a bit better in jungle, right? Because you mentioned not being able to gank so well if you're human form
That
Cuchulainn
is
on base
true.
Cuchulainn. Now the human form Cuchulainn ult is probably actually the best one for ganking, right? That knockup
Yeah.
you can combine it, so you wouldn't be using it as your, or like you're not playing like a Kali or a Loki. You'd almost be playing it more like a Naja, or how you sometimes play Thor and everything, right? Where you're more of that setup style. But then you could maybe use the argument of, oh, use this aspect from Cuchulainn because you have the long range route, you have the shove and everything, which could potentially, if you just show, if someone's pressuring your tier 1 tower and you're just blinking behind them, shove them into tower, right? That could be a pretty good gank, right? So maybe there's a call for this to be more of a jungle aspect,
Yeah,
but it just seems so hard to
I'm just,
pull up,
in my mind right now. We haven't seen it in game. I mean, we have seen it in game, but we haven't seen it in actual play, right? So we
Yeah.
are just speculating here. But in my mind, it is just such a big drawback that you have to go like all the way down to human level. You know, like to
Yeah.
get from human level to the biggest rage is such a
Sounds a
long,
lot, yeah.
yeah. Like it's gonna take you, especially if you're jungling, it's gonna take you fucking 5 minutes to just to
Yeah.
be able to do
Yeah, yeah,
that. So
yeah.
I'm like, what is the point?
And junglers live and die by their uptime, right?
Oh yeah,
So this is where it feels like it can't be a jungle aspect because again, if you're playing Loki, right? Imagine if you couldn't do anything as Loki without your ultimate, right? Now that's when you're maybe on like the lower skill level, right? But the really good Lokis, you don't need it. You
yeah,
can still have an impact without needing your ultimate to get in there, right? And that's what makes you a threat. That's why when you've gone in, you've ulted the carry and you've taken them out. If the other four members of the team group up, they can't just ignore you because you're still some kind of threat. If you're this Cuchulainn aspect, who yes has gone in warped mode, killed off the carry, and then has gone down to human form, they're like, all right, well, we're basically 4-on-4. So you
yeah,
kind of haven't done anything, right? You haven't really had that impact. So it needs to be, again, if it's a jungle aspect, you need to be having uptime all the time. If it's a solo aspect, it's either better or worse than base Cuchulainn,
yeah,
right? Like, so you're either always playing the aspect or you're never playing the aspect. The closest comparison I've got to where they've tried something similar to this, I think it's actually Artio and the Artio aspect. Now, that is a bit more of a complicated aspect, right? But there are clear reasons why you would pick base Artio over non-base Artio, right?
yeah,
The stance switching in base for aspect Artio, but then you gain an ultimate ability. It basically works with its phases, right? Well, my way of playing it, and where I eventually decided it wasn't very good, so maybe not the best way to play it. It felt like the sort of druid stance Artio was good in laning phase, right? You have ranged autos and everything. You can poke a bit better. You can be a bit more sustain heavy. And then when you get to teamfight stage, you switch to bear form for basically the whole time. You almost start as one form and then switch to another form later on. Again, it's how Achilles is played. So they've done this type of thing before, but at least in that aspect, you have a clear reason. All right, this is when I would play base Artio. This is when I would want to play aspect Artio. Again, in this situation, like we've seen before with Thanatos and at some point Thor as well, sometimes the aspect is just better. And this feels like it's either one of those times or it's not one of those times, but the aspect is just worse and you just never ever play it. So I I don't blame them for wanting to give this a try. I think if you're going to trial this type of aspect, again, this is where you would do it. This is maybe not the god to do it on, though. I think
Yeah,
a solo laner having two variations is pretty cool, similar to
yeah.
Osiris, right? Which I think is significantly different, so I wouldn't compare it too closely to this. But I do think solo laning is the way you could get away with that, because solo laners can be more versatile, and that's a good thing. But this one is probably not what I would have chosen.
Yeah. And in this update, though, there was also a few items
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
that was being or are being released with Cocolan. I don't know much about these. I haven't really read up on them, but you said that you had some thoughts.
Yes, I can deep dive on these. So
Okay,
yeah,
go
and
for it.
you've played some ADC, but this is a fun little uh it's the type of patch I quite like when you're adding three new items and with the fourth box, if you can see where they talk about some other things like adding passives to items is always cool, right? So this will probably change up ADC builds, which is something that is kind of necessary, and I think it's in the best way. I think this is in a good way. So first item being added is dominance from
Love that in
Smite
Smite 1,
1.
by the way. Yeah.
Yeah, I will not go into all the base stats and everything, but basically dominance is a penetration and with a bit of attack speed. It also used to give like MP5 and stuff. I think they've
Mm.
taken that away. Really, it gives a bit of mana and mana regen, so maybe it's sort of but it was the type of item you normally built it in like your regular ADC builds, but you could also build it in your sort of ability based builds as well, which is why it's always kind of it had a nice bit of versatility
Mm.
to it. This one, it's basically 20% more percent pen on your basic attacks, but it doesn't count as percent pen. Um,
I'm
it's a
surprised this
weird choice.
item gives strength instead of just basic attack power like they have on Rip Talon, for
Well,
example.
that's what I think comes from the ability to use it as an ability based
Ah, but
carry
I
as
mean,
well.
it's
So yeah, I
basic
think
attacks that deal bonus damage.
yeah, that's the thing. It kind of covers both bases
Oh,
if you
okay.
want it
Yeah.
to. So I think it's fine as this way. I think this is a more interesting way to put it. Again, I think now you could put it in both builds. It doesn't just go in the attack damage build, right? But yeah, it's a little bit strange to introduce percent pen and flat pen, give the percent pen a cap, and then in this patch just to add a bunch of items that go over that cap, right? It's a little bit like why have the cap? But I don't know. That's why they want what they wanted to do.
Yeah.
And it will be. I remember dominance, particularly in Smite 1, being pretty significant, and I
Yeah.
assume it will work the same way. So one of the key things about dominance before, which made it so powerful, is it worked really well in conjunction with Odysseus bow, which it actually procced the effect of the sort of chain lightning effect that procced the 20% increase from dominance, which was why it was a really cool combination. Now there are a lot more items in Smite 2 that actually do that type of thing. You think Sunbeam bow, you think Lernian bow. I
Mm, yeah.
wonder if all of this will come off of that as well. If it does, that's kind of ridiculous. Like Lernian bow could be particularly nuts. It already is and has been.
Yeah.
You add
I hate that
dominance to
item.
that too. It could be particularly nuts if you add dominance to this, but for most people, Nick, it'll just be a nice little damage boost item, and I think it's a good item to have in the game.
Yeah, I mean, if it feels like a good slot where in Smite 1 we had for the longest time Executioner as like your main
Yeah.
penetration item. This feels like it, because in Smite 2 I feel like we haven't had that. It's just been
Hmm.
build damage, Titan's Bane. And then that's all you
Yeah.
need. It's
Yeah.
just been I'm only hitting squishies. 20 minutes into the game, I build Titan's Bane. Now I can hit tanks and actually do damage.
Yeah.
And this is more of an item that you can build, I feel like maybe second or third, and have that effect. So yeah,
Yeah.
I like it.
Definitely different to Executioner as well, right? With Executioner being that sort of shred protections, which benefits your team, but it also works a bit better earlier than percent pen. But also, this item will work with the sort of slower attack speed builds, right? So if you just want to hit once really big, you're much better off using this than
Yeah, when
Executioner as
Heimdall
well.
comes
But
out, that type of
yeah,
shit.
this
Yeah,
this this will be on Heimdall for sure.
yeah.
And then obviously after that, we have Silver Branch Bow, which is not on PTS yet because it seems like they haven't quite landed on the numbers.
Yeah.
I'm thinking because this item could potentially be nuts. So I don't know if you've read this effect yet, Nickel, but
Isn't this
it's Silver Branch
just
Bow.
when I immediately read it, like, doesn't Sunbeam Bow have the already shooting?
No, not exactly. So Sunbeam Bow is obviously you turn on Sunbeam Bow, and
Yeah.
then it will add 2 additional shots, sort of like a Newt
Yeah.
Convergence,
But
where
isn't
it's sort of
this
got that extra
just
effect.
that, but it's only one and you don't have to activate it?
So you don't have to activate it, but it shoots an extra arrow every third basic attack, but every 1 attack speed causes this to fire an additional arrow. So
Yeah.
you're thinking late game, this is firing at least 2
Mm-hmm.
through what I believe, at least from how I'm reading it, this should fire in a straight line rather than these sort of extra lines on the side. So
Yeah,
it
it's not
won't widen your
diagonal.
basic attack.
It's just
Yeah,
gonna
yeah,
be
it
like
should just
Sunbeam
be.
Bow. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. So it should shoot straight out ahead of you,
I
but
don't like that. I
this
think it
will.
should be where your basic attack is going because it's too hard, especially for this item. Maybe for Sunbeam Bow, it's okay. This item, you're more thinking like you can't be counting. Okay, 1, 2, and now it's gonna come 1, 2, and now
Yeah,
it's like in the middle of it doing everything else in the team fight. I don't know. I like it more if it's like going towards where your basic attack is going, but
yeah.
I don't know.
I would really like to see this on
Yeah.
Charybdis
Oh
because
no.
Charybdis already kind of has this fact, like it's like
Yeah.
whereas this will be like
Oh my
1, 2,
god.
7.
Yeah.
Like it'll be like
That would
kind
be
of
that's
ridiculous
kind
with
of
the
wild,
high
yeah.
attack speed. But I also like this item because Silver Branch Bow in Smite 1, for anyone who doesn't know or doesn't remember, that item was based around building over attack speed cap, right? So
Yeah.
your attack speed cap of 2.5 attack speed, and anything you went over that, you would then add to Silver Branch Bow's passive effect, which basically gave additional power. I think it was like up to 40 or 50 power based on how far over you went, but it was capped. Whereas this, technically uncapped. So you could build a nuts ADC build and just go absolute machine gun.
Yeah, I
So
haven't
which
seen what the maximum amount of attack speed you can get in Smite 2 is even.
well, that's the thing. I don't believe it's capped.
It's not capped, but
So
I don't know, like,
yeah,
with the items you have available, I don't know
right. I get
how
you.
far you
Like
can go. Because I know
yeah,
you can definitely get to 3 attack speed,
yes,
but if you can get to 4, is it worth it with
yeah,
this item? Like, is that extra damage going to be. And you're going to be shooting, like, all the time, right?
yeah,
So,
yeah. I was gonna say you would be shooting peas, but I mean it might be really cool.
yeah.
I do wonder if things like so you're seeing that it says 25% of attack damage, so I assume that means it doesn't proc on hit effects, which makes sense, right? I wouldn't want this to be procking a full kin size every time. But I do think this is a fun item. I don't believe it's going to be. It could be potentially good, right? It's definitely going to be
It needs to be
worlds where,
balanced very
particularly with
carefully.
these gods that have big, yeah, like if you have too many gods that make too good of a use of this, I think it could be pretty broken. But I don't believe we've had many phases of Smite 2 where these sort of stim basic attack carries have been that good. I think we've
Yeah.
seen a lot more of Jing Wei, whose stim was more for the crit rather than like an
Yeah.
attack speed. I think we've seen a lot of Anher, who's just kind of variably good and has a lot of CC chains. Whereas has Rama ever been OP in Smite 2? You
No,
know,
no, no, no,
this
no.
this is the
No,
type of
no.
item that would potentially push them over the edge, right, and
Yeah,
give
that'd
them
be.
something
Yeah,
to have
huge.
some kind of effect. You know, like Rama could be really good. You see, Artemis again has
Oh, yeah.
pretty much never had a really strong showing, and that's something again I feel like we haven't seen in Smite 2 compared to Smite 1. It felt like in Smite 1 these sort of stim auto attack carries were really strong at points in the game, and we just hasn't been a lot of that because of the way Smite 2 has been played. I think with an item like Silver Branch Bow, it could be much more fun to have
Yeah.
that type of again, a problem they might have found is that when stim carries are good, it's just kind of boring, right? If Rama didn't use any abilities, just rolled up to you, uses his stim, and then pew pew pew, oh, pentakill. That's kind of boring. But if he does have to go boom 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 boom, boom with this machine
Yeah.
gun Silver Branch Bow thing, that's kind of cool. It's at least cooler.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
yeah, I could see that being the type of change they're going
I
for.
to be honest, I think it's way cooler to see a Rama pentakill than like a Medusa, because that So I don't like ability hunters outside of Uller. Like I feel like if you're gonna be a hunter, your one thing is basic attacks. Like why are you trying to be something else? Like Artemis in Smite 1 was for the most part I played like an ability hunter, even though she only had one ability that actually did much.
That was the
Um,
only thing that made it work.
yeah. But yeah, I think this will be an item that if, as you're saying, if ability stim, what's it called? Attack speed stim, sorry.
Yeah,
Attack speed stim hunters this will elevate them. I think that is very healthy for the hunter role, and I think it will showcase the people who are really good at playing hunters this way with like the skill shot hitting and
yep,
basic attack hitting. It will just elevate them as well, so it's going to be, yeah, in my opinion, this is a better use of skill expression than,
yeah,
building all the assassin items and then one-shotting people with Medusa too. It's just I
yeah.
hate that.
I've had things to say over the years of Smite 2. Funny enough, not on this podcast, so let's do it now.
Yeah, go for it.
One thing I've not been a fan of in the carry role for Smite 2 is particularly the prevalence of Lernian Bow and what's it called, Dagger Frenzy.
Yeah.
Because so when Smite 2 very first came out, Nicola, you might remember this. Dagger of Frenzy had something like a 30 or 40-second cooldown.
Yeah.
So what that basically meant is you would have Dagger of Frenzy, it was a decently statted item, and then if it was like, all right, the waves are clear, the both carries square off, it's go time. You hit your
Now you
Dagger
hit
of
it, yeah.
Frenzy, and then it's like brawl time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas now, Dagger of Frenzy's cooldown is what, 10 seconds,
15.
and gets reduced if you get in a set, so 15, right?
But it
You
can go
pop
down, yeah.
that every wave. You
Yep.
just right, there's a wave up, Dagger Frenzy, boom, 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 kill the wave.
Yeah, it's
And
such a stupid item because of what you're saying. Because
yeah,
there's no drawback. It's just you have it
yeah,
every time you need it.
yeah. You just kind of pop it, and I found similar thing. When I am casting, one thing I'll do when I'm sort of analyzing the state of the game before a cast, this is when you're sort of thinking about what are going to be key things that you're going to look for. One thing I've noticed with Lernian Bow in particular is there were certain characters, and it's still kind of true now, where if you have Lernian Bow, you're in a good spot. If you don't have Lernian Bow, you're in a bad spot. But Lernian Bow again has this like sort of 15-second cooldown. So you're then almost rolling a dice, right? Let's say someone's playing Anhur, they pop their Lernian Bow on the wave to clear it faster. Then all of a sudden the jungler comes out and just wipes them out. They've got no chance. They've got no fight back potential because all of their damage is in Lernian Bow, particularly early on in the game. If they didn't choose to clear the wave with Lernian Bow, and the jungler just walked up to them, they could kill that jungler because they've got Lernian Bow, and it is that much of a difference. And I don't like that an item like that kind of is just if you have it, use it, and if you use it, you're good. If you don't use it and you don't have it, you're kind of in trouble. That's bad. I don't like these sort of, semi relevant cooldowns, like again, the sort of 15-second cooldown on Dagger Frenzy, just not really relevant. You're never going to go, oh, his dagger's down, let's go in. Maybe you do call that out, but it's not going to make much of a difference. It just doesn't feel like the way the game should be played. Something like Silver Branch Bow being in the game, I think is way better. It's
Yeah.
just cool. Okay, they got Silver Branch, they're going to be shooting often. Is there anything I can do about that, right? You tend to find if it's got a high attack speed build, then if you build like anti-attack speed, they feel it a bit more. Even just like maybe build higher protections, maybe build more health, right? You can make decisions based on the decisions they've made, and that's just a bit cooler to me, rather than just there's a 6-second window where he doesn't have Learning Bow, I'm going in,
Yeah.
stuff like that. I'm a much bigger fan of an item like Silver Branch Bow.
Yeah. Now, this item I actually do know a little bit about, Toxic Blade, and I love it. I am so happy that they removed anti-heal for a little bit. Now that it's back, brother, I've been missing being able to build something to deal with these like soul full lifesteal builds, or even meeting just like a jungler or a mid laner that heals a lot. Is just so annoying. Like the Aphrodites that I've seen, oh my god, like I love that they're now actually thinking, because this just shows that Hi-Res kind of have their eye on the ball, where they're seeing what's missing and what's needed in the game right now, and it's anti-heal that basic attackers can utilize, because
Yep.
Brawler Speed Stick is not. I'm never gonna build Brawler
No.
Beat Stick
No,
on,
no, no.
or Divine Ruin on my fucking Rama, like. So yeah, walk us through it.
Yeah, so Toxic Blade, funnily enough, has two roles in this in Smite 2 with the way that they've added it. So it does have, and I think this was the big request, right? Well, exactly what you're saying, where when you're coming up against an Aphrodite that's healing all the time, we've had periods of the game where Baron Samdi's been a big deal, Hercules can be a big deal, Achilles right now just feels like he has a lot of lifesteal because of the way that, you didn't have a way to deal with it, so that little bit of healing he did have was just tough. So I think there's been a lot of requests from communities, like you said, where you're 4 items into your build, you go, man, I'm struggling against these healers. Boom, I'm going to slam a Toxic Blade. That's one use for it. I think that's been probably the most requested thing. But if you look at the stats and the price of this, it's a little bit of a mishmash here. So Toxic Blade, particularly in Smite 1, I think we've seen this before, but also how I would expect it to be used in Smite 2, is a boxing item, right? If your enemy goes into Dev's Gloves, for example, and you build Toxic Blade, and then you guys start squaring up, as long as you hit more basics than them, or the same amount of basics as them, you should win that fight because it has that extra attack damage. It gives you some health, attack speed, flat pen, right? All these things are good. And then you look at the passive effect where it gives a 25% healing reduction stacking up to 3 times, so 75% healing reduction, and then a 7% attack speed buff
I think
stacking
it's
up to
just
3 times.
the attack speed that stacks.
Is that because? Oh yeah, I see. So it's attack speed buff and debuff.
Yeah, attack speed buff and
okay,
debuff.
okay.
Yeah. Just
So it's not 75%. I was gonna say that was kind of nuts.
yeah,
So
75 was a
was
little
almost
too
just my
crazy.
surprise.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's still a 25% healing, but then the it's a 7% attack speed buff to you and a reduction to them, and that is what stacks up to
Scaling up to 21%. Then.
Yeah, so 21% attack speed from them and added to you, right? So it's not quite stealing if you got mismatched numbers, but if you build it early, it's effectively stealing the attack speed, right? And that would put this item in that sort of boxing role. But at 2,700, that's probably a bit too steep because I think that's around the price of Transcendence. So maybe I'm thinking wrong, but like when you think of a boxing item, that means you want to get active a bit earlier. And if you have to delay getting active early because you need your item right, it's just a little bit of a tough spot. I think this item would benefit from being a bit cheaper. And if it's a bit cheaper, then it's almost built like every time, unless you're scaling for late game, right? If you're playing someone who intentionally wants to sit back and just arrive a bit later in the game, then you would avoid Toxic Blade because it shouldn't presumably scale that well into the later game. But yeah, if you built something like Dev's Gauntlets, for example, that will scale well into the late game. So there's at least a choice to be made there. I think the price of this makes it not necessarily a late game item. I think this is more a mid build item. But I think it's almost too late to get the real boxing feel from it. I don't think you're going to be boxing many junglers, which is who you'll be fighting at that stage, right? The carries sort of stop the whole 1v1 process and don't really interact unless it comes to like the end of a team fight.
Yeah.
So I think it loses some of its potential at this sort of price point, but it's still potentially a good item.
Because I think the stats need to change if you're going to lower the gold cost, because it's a lot of stats that it's giving you, and potential stats as well. So what change would you make? Like what stats would you change, and also reduce the gold, and how much would you reduce the gold to?
I'm not sure if it needs the attack speed, because of the steal effect, right?
Okay.
So if it doesn't have the inherent attack speed in it, you can then.
So it's punishing if you can't hit your basic attacks. Okay.
Yeah. Yes, basically. Like so, then if you hit them, then all of a sudden you start ramping up, much more extremely. And I could see it being priced at like the sort of 2,300 mark, right? So you could, again, the way I would like to see an item like this used is you sort of show up to lane, try to gain a little bit of lane dominance. Let's assume you are playing someone a bit more early game focused, like a Medusa, like an Anhur, wants that sort of lane pressure. Then you back at 2,300 or whatever, pick up this Toxic Blade, and now you've got your Toxic Blade online, 400-ish gold before your opponent has their stacking item that they go for, right? It counters that sort of late game stacking style. Now you can be aggressive because you have a full item that is cheaper and is made for exactly this purpose. So then you sort of have a window where you are exceptionally far ahead, right, on map, So it's then a choice, right? The other carry now has the choice to make of now I have to play more passively because I'm planning on playing in a more scaling way. Alternatively, they can also build Toxic Blade, and now it's just kind of a skill headbutt.
Yeah.
It's like the you can guarantee your lane dominance over someone who is scaling by sacrificing your scaling, right? Investing early. This is something I've touched on tons of times throughout the podcast now over how I like to see Smite played. And a lot of it is just about making decisions being an important part. You don't just build Toxic Blade because it's good. You're building Toxic Blade because you want to do a certain way, particularly into a certain playstyle. Because if you build Toxic Blade and the enemy team builds, Devourer's Gauntlets, and you don't pressure them and you like sort of equalize that lane, you've just lost like
Yeah.
net worth because of the fact that you've invested incorrectly for how you played and everything. And that's the kind of decision making I'd like to see. You could still do this with Toxic Blade at this point. It's just a little bit more difficult here. It's not as it's not on paper designed that way. So it could be something to try. Maybe I'll try it and see if I just eat my words and get destroyed by someone who's built Dev's Gauntlets at the same time as me. But
Yeah.
it would be nice to have an item or have a build path that is sort of designed to excel one way and suffer another way, right? Which is again something that I think we're starting to see a bit in Smite 2, but we haven't seen it across the lifetime.
Yeah. All right, now I'm gonna quickly go through the other changes because we gotta move on. But Obsidian Shard and Titan's Bane got basically a new passive because they didn't have a passive after the changes. Where the first ability you cast now is gonna do more damage because it has percentage pen on it. You can see on the screen the more detailed nitty gritty stuff, but that's pretty much the gist of it. So if you're like a Scylla, like any nuker, like blow up character, that's the ones that kind of benefit from that. And there's some tank items that's been nerfed, but we don't know the numbers, so can't really comment on that. But it's gonna be like the Dwarven Plate, Berserker Shield, these kind of percentage pen or were percentage pen in the past, but now we're given a little too much normal protections.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, they also revealed the new roadmap. So other than Chulainn, there was Eggshell being teased / confirmed that is coming on the next update, big update, OB41. You have any thoughts on Eggshell? We haven't seen her, obviously, but she's on the PTS right now, so I believe Intersect has a video out. I haven't seen it because I didn't have time. You have?
No.
No, you don't have?
Fast.
Okay, yeah. But you should go watch that if you want to see how she is actually in game. From the thumbnail, she seems like she has a lot of cool effects. That's all I kind of saw. But yeah, Eggshell in Smite 1. Did you like her? Did you not? What's
I
your thoughts?
don't believe I ever really got to play much Ishal at the time she came out. I was kind of grinding competitive
Is
a
that
bit
how you
much, and I
pronounce
was
it?
not playing.
Eggshell?
Yes, Ishal. Yes, it
Okay,
would be
so
Ishal,
Eggshell,
I believe.
my bad.
Eggshell scrapped. I believe it was Ishal as well. At least
Eggshell,
that's where the casters landed. I don't know
Yeah.
if I don't know how correct we were, but
I mean, who cares
yeah.
what's correct? Like Scylla in Greek is skula, so like
Scylla,
we're not
yeah,
gonna say
yeah.
skula. Like we're gonna say Scylla. It's easier. It's okay. But Ishel is it.
But yeah, Ishal is one of those gods that a little bit polarizing actually, despite only being around for like a short time. Very cool god, very colorful, very fun, very I think it is exactly the type of god we want in Smite 2. I think particularly jumping from Smite 1 to Smite 2, making this a kind of smoothness addition that we've had before. I think that was one of the slight, even then it was Isha was pretty smoothed out compared to what we'd seen in Smite 1. But I think additional smoothness could be really, really cool on this card because it was very much a, you throw this ability, boom, that one. You got low cooldowns, you got this one again. It's like
one of the later additions to Smite 1, right?
Yes, yeah. It's definitely in the last season, I think.
Oh, really?
Last season god.
It was Surtur in season 10. Was she after or before Surtur? Do you remember?
I think she was after Surtur. I think we
had Surtur,
I think we had Maticarus, Surtur, Ishel, and
something, and then Nut.
Bake Kujira. And then Nut.
Fuck that. Dude, what a horrible season. What the
But Ishel was probably the highlight of this season, right?
Yeah.
I think Ishel was again, it's a cool god that had lots of effects on her abilities, right? But they weren't ridiculous effects. It was one of the few gods that had a blind effect. It had blind effect, small knockup, movement speed boost. Like you had those little pellets that would sort of shoot out after Ishel used one of her abilities, and then if you picked it up, you could zoom a little bit. Lots of little interactions with that. There is one thing I really hate coming into Smite 2 about this god, but I'll just touch on the Smite 1 version right now. And yeah, I think she had some really cool, like, fun ways to play. You could also play this god support. We love that. But this is before aspects, right? So presumably she will get an aspect that allowed her to do something else. But you could also play this god jungle. It was like so flexible. I believe she had a little bit of a showing during the whole mage solo meta, but she was not one of the high points of that. But you could still play it there. She had this sort of versatility about her, which, again, going into Smite 2, you can now build all sorts of different items. You could potentially have an aspect as well. This could just be the versatility that God here. So yeah, I think it's a really nice addition at this point.
Yeah, I same as you. I played a lot of Smite towards the end, or not a lot, but I played a little bit towards the end in season 10, which is when I think she was released.
Yeah.
And I wasn't playing mid lane at the time. I think she didn't seem that interesting to me. It was just the ultimate that was kind of cool. Other than that, I was kind of meh as a character. But I want to make like a bigger point on this, maybe in a different podcast. But I think blinds as a CC is so underutilized in Smite, and I wish we had more of it. It's just one of the fun things you can do in Smite that you can't do in any other MOBA. Like blindness in other MOBAs makes you unable to hit people because you can't see them, so you can't click on them. So it's like insanely broken on those MOBAs, but the actual just blindness, but you can still walk around, you can still do everything you want to do in Smite. That is so much cooler, I think, and having it on Raw and to some some sense Loki. I don't like the Loki blind. I think it's just like not even that much of a blind.
It's like the octopus from Mario Kart.
Yeah,
thing.
exactly. Yeah, it's just like splats on there.
Like, I did not have not ever hit the break button, including when I've been inked. Okay, I'm just saying. So
if anyone actually slows down because they're inked, like what are you doing? What are you doing?
I don't want to crash. The big blind though, right, is obviously Chulainn, which we always get to talk about as that's just the coolest blind effect because again, it's an ultimate. There's a reason why it's so impactful and powerful. Even before Chulainn did much else, right? Didn't give like that attack speed stim and the range boost and everything. It was still a strong ultimate. It was just the rest of the card wasn't very good. But like you say, blindness is something that is unique in Smite as a MOBA. So yeah, having it in the game is really, really good.
Yeah. Like the fact that Ra has it, one of the earliest gods. Like he was one of the first 20, I think. And
I think so, yeah.
We didn't see another blind for like 5 years. It's crazy to me. I gotta be honest. Other than Shibalanki, obviously. Other than Ixchel though, because I don't want to talk too much about her because we don't know too much. Like I said, none of us has seen her in game. I assume you also haven't seen her in game.
No, not properly yet.
And her aspect is apparently an enchanter aspect. We've covered this before. I don't think Hi-Rez knows what enchanter means, but hopefully this time they'll nail it. What I want to see as an enchanter is a support character that doesn't have to build tanky. I want someone that can heal or shield or do that from a distance while still being a little scared themselves. But anyway. That's what I want to see from an enchanter. And that's what an enchanter is in other MOBAs, but maybe Hi-Rez has a different definition than I. But moving on from Ixchel, sorry. There is this new thing. They're saying they're going to add items that has echo payoff. Do you know what this is, or should I?
Echo payoff. Yeah. I'm having a think, but I'm not really like an extra bonus.
Yeah, just as you have in crit, where crit and echo is pretty much the same thing. Where critting is critting, basic attacks. Echo is like as if you were to crit with an ability, it does the same damage again, or a percentage of it. As we have with Demon Blade, where if crit, attack speed increase. I think that's what they're gonna do again with echo payoff items. So if echo, for example, penetration, or the echo does more penetration, or protection shred, or if echo fire ability again, something crazy. I don't
Yeah.
know exactly what, but it's gonna be something like that, I think. And I think that's a cool idea. I hope the execution will be great. I think having these levels to things. I mean, the only issue for me is the random element. I hate randomness in
Yeah.
skill expression games. Other than that, I think it's fun that you have more. Like it makes you go further down that route. Like if I'm building Echo, I want to go down the Echo route of a lot of Echo items because then I
Yeah.
will hit this payoff item more often. I think that's more of a fun. Yeah, instead of just like, oh, I'll add one Echo item because what if the chance that I ability crit or Echo?
Yeah, just hit
Yeah,
extra. Yeah. I will say Echo has been a disappointment in the fact that I couldn't tell you if I've ever been hit by an Echo, but I
that is true.
probably have. But I couldn't like again. It's that sort of randomness, that sort of feeling that again you just kind of either just instantly die or you just didn't really know it happened.
Yeah.
That is kind of my complaint over this E-shell change. Now I don't know if you want me to bring it up now or save it for next week when we know a little bit
I mean,
more.
we could just mention it real quick. It says on the screen there.
Yeah, yeah. So the alt echoing conditionally, hate it. Um,
I mean, what this
look,
tells me more than anything is that they want Echo to stay in the game.
yeah, yeah. This is clearly an investment in Echo, and fine, if that's what they want. It's not that it can't work, right? And I think Echo payoff items is the right way to do this. But an alt Echo condition. If anyone doesn't remember Ishell's alt, at the Great End, it's this sort of like laser beam that heals allies and hurts enemies. Ticks very often, if I remember correctly. Not quite as much as an Anubis ult, but similar
Similar,
sort
yeah.
of fast ticking. And also, like if you were healing a teammate, you while damaging an enemy, it like extended the time on it, right? If it echoes conditionally, this ult is going to do the most random amounts of damage.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm getting zapped by E-shell. I'm either going to take 400 damage or 4,000 damage, depending on
If it
how much
echoes,
echo,
yeah.
how many teammates are nearby, what
Yeah.
other items happen to proc. It's like
I mean, that's gonna be
it's going to
confusing
be
for
the
sure.
weirdest thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and it's not good for new players. Which okay, E-shell's not a god for new players, guaranteed. But yeah, if you want to Smurf, play some E-shell, man. No one's gonna have a clue what's going on.
Yeah, and I think something that they do in League of Legends that I think maybe would work better for Echo. I mean, you want that like big explosion damage, right? That's what you want out of Echo. You want it like I hit a Scylla 2 and it fucking blows everyone up. That is like a
Yeah,
dopamine hit, cathartic moment. But what they do in League for these kind of items is I damage you, and then you take a percentage of the ability that I've damaged you with over time as dot damage.
right,
Because that
yeah,
is more easily understandable as the player being hit by it, because you see a debuff square that we also have in Smite, like the debuff square over your health bar.
yeah.
You see that something that is red is hitting me right
He's
now.
hurting you. Yeah,
You can also then mouse over it to see what exactly it is so you understand what it is. Uh, I think if they're gonna go down this echo route, which it looks like they're doing by adding it into a god's kit, it's now inherent here, like inherent into the god, so it's probably here to stay. I mean, they could remove it, I guess, if they were to remove echo entirely. But if it looks like they want it to stay, I think what you're saying is completely true. Where you need a more visual or audio. I mean, it could be audio of knowing when you're being hit by this, because crit
yeah,
is annoying, and I think as a new player, crit would be incredibly annoying to play against if you didn't understand what it is. But me, since I know crit, I know that if I'm jumping on a character that I believe have crit, like a hunter, and they basically attack me 3 times and I die, I say, oh, he was just lucky and critted me three
yeah,
times,
yeah,
right? But if I'm a new player or even, someone who just like plays the game casually, that is incredibly frustrating, I would
yeah,
imagine. And it's the same thing with Echo. It's got to be like this, I don't know, maybe have the drum noises, or just as you have these like stunned thing showing up in front of
yeah,
people, have like a small little echo thing showing over
yeah,
yourself, or like some kind of symbol.
yeah.
um yeah.
Again, like especially so I play a lot of support, right? And I'm tanking stuff. One of the key ways that you'd play the game as a support is right. Like let's say you're up against a Janus in mid lane, right? And it's like the middle of the game, and they hit you with like a direct hit on that unstable vortex, right? They hit you with that sort of blast. You need to take a sort of mental note of how much that hurt. Right, I got hit, and I took like 600 damage. Well, I've got 3,000 health, so I'm okay with that. If the next time you get hit for 400 damage, you're like, wait,
What happened there?
did it echo before then?
Yeah.
Or was it something else? All right,
Or did I
you
just
have a
build a
lot
new
less
item? You
info.
know, there's a
Yeah,
lot
yeah.
of things. They're so
It's
complex. Yeah.
again, it's like if there's no sort of like you could see, oh, they have echo, but you don't know if echo triggered. It's much different to crit, right? You can, especially with the way that crit mathematically works, where they are guaranteed to crit you eventually,
At some
right?
point,
Like
yeah.
it will crit. Whereas you might not get hit by an ability often enough to really
Yeah.
recognize if you're getting hit by echo. So again, some sort of tangible feel. Oh, that hit me with echo that time.
Yeah, some kind of
Would feel a little
auditory
bit
or
better.
visual feedback is needed.
Yes. Does the player using Echo even get it either? I don't think I've ever really built Echo.
I think there
So is
is an
there
echo, like just like there's like a red uh little blob around when you crit.
right?
Or is that in Smite 2? I know in Smite 1 it was like this red number, or it was red
yes,
with
yeah,
white in it.
they have added the red
Yeah, so
to
it's
basic
like that, but I
cast.
think it's purple for Echo. So
Right.
you see the Echo number pop up like you would a crit number, but it's definitely not for the person being hit. All right, enough of this. We have some Race to Exalted things. I don't want to get into it. We have talked too much about it. Check out our
Yep.
first episode if you want to see what we think about these races. Next race is going to be Chulainn, obviously, and then it's going to be Odin a week later. Odin, obviously, already in the game, so he's Exalted. Chulainn is Race to Radiant. But now to the big drama topic, Judas.
I'm excited.
You are excited? Yeah, cover some drama. I mean,
Finally.
Uh, is it finally? I don't know. I don't like. I mean, I like drama to some extent. I don't like drama that is so nonsensical or like stupid
Yeah.
little petty stuff. Okay, but this grew a little larger. It's Smite data mining. I thought we could also mention actual data mining. Talk a little bit about that. But first,
hmm
before we cover actual data mining, actually, which way should we do this? Should we cover data mining first or the drama first? What do you think?
I think we should touch on the data mining
Okay, we'll do
first,
data
and we'll
mining first.
come back to some more maybe
Yeah,
after. But yeah.
for those who don't know, data mining, especially in games, is basically diving into the files, taking everything out from the game files. So whenever you download a game, you download the files, take all of that, all of those files, then you scour them, looking for hidden small little crumpets of information about what's coming in the future. Like there might be a model in there that they have just added to the game because they're preparing to add Ishel to the game, so they just add her model first just to see that it
Yeah.
works with the live client and everything, but they don't actually make her playable, right? And what a data miner does is they take all of these files, they look through them, find every single potential new thing, and usually post it somewhere. And for Smite, this is posted on the SmiteDatamining.com website. And it's a contentious topic because obviously, as the community, you want to know what's coming up. You kind of, is my new god? You kind of like excited. You're looking through. If you're the data miner, you're looking for something to post that people will create hype over, and it's gonna be fun. And like, oh my god, they're actually working on Skadi. I want to see Skadi in the game. Okay, super happy, right? But for the actual company, the game publisher or the game developers, like Hi-Rez, might not see it the same way. Most publisher kind of leaves this topic alone, but for indie companies especially, who kind of are reliant on steering the narrative and building the hype and marketing the game in what they believe is the best way possible, just to get it out there in the way they want to get it out there, they view this more negatively because it can create artificial hype for things that might not come, and then they
Mhm.
get hate because Scotty was mentioned in a data mining post,
Yeah.
but she isn't coming for the next 2 years. Or they're building towards this big release. They want to release Cthulhu and Huster together, for example, like a dual god release. They're from the same pantheon, the Eldritch, or what's it called, like Lovecraftian kind
Lovecraftian, yep.
of thing. And then it's kind of like ruined by the fact that someone posted that, oh, it's coming out in like a couple weeks,
Yeah.
guys. So the hype builds and then just falters before the actual update. So like the whole marketing department of Hi-Res sees this or might see this as like a big negative that kind of hampers their work. What are your thoughts on data mining in general? And do you have some more tidbits you want to add?
Yeah, so I think as a more general, almost casual viewer of data mining stuff, right? So as of right now, I don't view anything for data mining. When I see like the post about, oh, Smite data mining the next patch, whatever, I don't care. I'm going to ignore it because I'd rather see the big reveal. But a lot of people do like to check out these data mining things, and again, you can, like you said, it builds up hype that might not necessarily land, but it can build up your excitement for the game a bit, right? Like if you see, again, if you really want to play Skadi or King Arthur's been in the data mining files for like literal years at this point. Um, you might see that and be like, oh, so King Arthur is on the way. You know what? Maybe I'll play some Smite. You can kind of build up your own little bubble of hype sometimes, and I think that's okay. I think there is a option when it comes to data mining. Like you can avoid the information in this if you really don't want to see it. Like if you see the post on Reddit from data mining, right, I'm not going to click that link. If you have a friend who's always telling you what was in the data mining, just block that friend, bro, unless they stop. Just tell them, hey, don't tell me what's coming, I don't want to know. You don't have to see this stuff, right? Sometimes things slip through the cracks, particularly if it's a big leak and it's on Twitter, and you might find, okay, it's hard to avoid things like that on the internet sometimes. But if data mining exists in its own little bubble, it's not such a bad thing, right? However, you do have to say there is definitely a justifiable cause for concern from the company itself. I think we cannot ever tell the quantifiable damage that data mining actually does. Like we don't know, like, again, how much it saves, like how much it helps the development compared to how much it hurts, because it's not lazy, right? I think I've seen that comment before. Putting stuff in the game that then gets left to be data mined is not like a lazy programming thing. Maybe some people would consider that way, because I think you'd imagine some of the bigger companies like Blizzard or whatever will have someone there to specifically data mine themselves and dig out anything that might get left in. It's understandable that high-res either don't want to do that or just don't really care to do that, because again, they have limited resources to allocate, right? Spending hours sifting through the files just to make sure that data mine doesn't get out isn't really, you know, a big concern for them. If they're not going to be concerned, they shouldn't be surprised when these things come out, though. And again, I think ideally, in a perfect situation, data mining just exists for the bubble of people who want it, but we know it kind of isn't limited to just that.
Yeah. And so with this, what happened recently, which it's kind of been bubbling for a little bit. I've seen like I've seen data mining being mentioned a few times in like a negative context on the Twitter space or the
Yep.
Smite community as a whole, like the Reddit, the Twitter, whatever. And it's kind of been building. And Chris T. Dixon, which we've already mentioned before on the podcast, love his content, love him as a content creator and a figure within the Smite community. He made a video where he talked very negatively about Smite data mining. And I think this, for him to do this, is obviously he has very strong opinions.
Yep.
But it has put some light on data mining that it didn't have. But it's also put some negative and positive light on Chris himself, depending on where you land on the whole data mining debate. Because for those who don't know, a lot of the Smite content creators create content through data mining. So they have this website that they go to, the smitedatamining.com. They go there, they read through what the newest data mining post is, and then they post a video about them reacting to whatever that is. You have Intersect, Weekend is like the two biggest content creators we have, and both of them do this. Christy Dixon's a little lower on the follower list. He being this negative to data mining is kind of basically in the way he did in the video, which we are going to get to. It's basically saying that the way Intersect and Weaken is doing things is wrong, which might, put a target on his back. He did, though, in the video mention that he thinks Weaken and Intersect are doing a good job with their data mining, but he doesn't like data mining in general, so he'd prefer they didn't, but the way they are doing it is fine. But now let's get to his actual video. Because you haven't seen it. I have.
No.
His main points, which I'll go down one by one. The Smite data mining website is run by a guy called Rayo, and he's on Twitter a lot. He types a few things here and there, things that Chris definitely doesn't agree with, things I don't agree with, things a lot of people probably wouldn't agree with. He is this controversial figure, I would say, and he holds this like villain place within the community because he's the guy who runs the data mining website. So he's in direct opposition with Hi-Rez. And for the longest time, this wasn't really like this was known. Everyone knew about the data mining website. Like it was, not everyone, but like we knew about the data mining website. Hi-Rez had, said that they don't like data mining, but nothing had happened. And Rayo was, fine. He was in contact with Hi-Rez, and they obviously told him to stop. He said, "I'm not going to stop." It actually says in Smite's UELA, the end user license agreement, and their I think in terms and services, but I don't know about terms and services. Definitely in the UELA, it says you can't data mine, or you're not supposed to. You can get banned for data mining. But Rayo was never banned, even though they knew it was him, and he had been in direct contact with them. And then recently, like just a few months ago, he was banned. And we're not going to touch too much on why he was banned, but he basically came out and said Hindu Man, a very big figure at Hi-Rez, one of their employees, basically came out and said that Hindu Man had banned someone or threatened to ban them over DMs. Anyway, a few days after that, he posted that on Twitter. Rayo got banned, and ever since, Rayo has been on this like campaign against Hi-Rez. He still has a lot of passion for data mining, as far as I can see in Smite as a game, but he's obviously banned, so he can't play the game. All he does now is data mine. And so Chris brings this up that he doesn't like Rayo. He doesn't like Rayo as a person. What he says on Twitter, he feels like his opinions and the things he says and the way he acts is childish or stupid or cringe. And then he gets onto the actual data mining stuff. And I've looked through this because one of the things he mentioned is that he doesn't like the fact that data mining to Chris is stealing content, or he says take it without being allowed to. So basically stealing, I would say. There's a different word for it. Stealing content or things that Hi-Rez has worked really hard on and then just like releasing it into the public. So he says this is like stealing. And I, for one, don't think it's stealing, but we'll get to that. But he says it's stealing. He doesn't like that Rayo's doing it. And he feels like this is just like a big detriment to the scene. And then he starts talking about Intersect and Weaken and says like what they're doing is fine. This website gets 1,000 visitors a month. I checked for what I could find at least. 1,000 visitors a month is not a lot.
No.
I would assume that most of that is themselves going into the website to check stuff while developing the website. And then I checked Intersect's video. 16,000 viewers on his most recent video that revealed Ishel and Haster and a lot of different stuff. I was like, okay. Maybe that was an outlier. I checked this other video on data mining, another 16,000 views. Okay, so just to attack this point made by Chris, where data mining itself is bad, but Intersect and Weaken is doing it okay. Intersect and Weaken are pointing way more lights, like spotlights, on data mining and this than what they're doing themselves, the data mining guys.
Yeah.
So either you got to be not fine with any of it or fine with all of it.
Yeah.
And he says that it's not real work. This is, I mean, I pointed this out earlier that it's stealing, and it's just like you're putting no effort in. This is what Chris said. You're putting no effort in. You're just grabbing things that Hyra is working on, and you're ruining it for everyone. You know, that's kind of how he phrased it without so many words.
Yeah.
And another point that I disagree with, but we will go through the points later. And the last thing he pointed out is the fact that the website itself has a lot of ads. And I got to tell you, a lot of websites have a lot of ads these days. I don't think that is something to attack at all. I think it's very stupid. It kind of ruined. Like I have a lot of respect for Chris, but this argument is the most stupid. Like it's stupid. It's so stupid. It's like let the man. Like yes, he's doing work that you don't like, but don't attack the website. Like he kept mentioning how bad the website looked. This guy is a data miner, whatever you want to call that, if that's a job title or whatever. He's not a website builder, you know. He doesn't have, maybe he doesn't have the HTML coding experience to make it a nice website. Also, they have partnered now with Smite.live, which is a way nicer looking website, but that also covers all the data mining stuff, or like puts out all the data mining stuff. So this argument doesn't even work anymore. But the ads part, as a Twitch and YouTube content creator, how is he mentioning ads at all? Like I've seen, I don't think this is a bad thing. Just to preface that, I don't think the ads on the website is a bad thing. On the Smite Data Mining website is a bad thing. Also, don't think the next thing I'm going to mention is a bad thing. But Chris has like donation goals. He has obviously ads on his Twitch channel, on his YouTube channel.
Yep.
One of the donation goals is like if I get $1,000 or something, I'll do a push up, or like for right now he has like $500 donation goal, and we'll have a stream with my wife. Bro, I'm sorry, but like that is not in any way worse or better than just having ads that you can easily block with ad blocker. I don't think if you actually seen Intersect or Weekend's videos, I don't know about Weekends. I don't know why I mentioned it, but at least Intersect, he has ad blocker on. Like you don't see these ads and it's very easy to get ad blocker. Sorry, that was a lot of information. I just wanted to quickly go through the Chris video and his opinions. Now we can go into the nitty gritty of each one. So, Rayo, do you know anything about Rayo?
I do not know much about Rayo, only that they have this tendency to have some Twitter tantrums pop up on my feed.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if that's all of their posts. It might well not be. Generally, the people who I follow on Twitter and have interacted with in the Smite community seem to be the type of people that argue with Rayo. So I do not get to see anything positive from them. It might be that there isn't any positive from them. I don't know. So don't know this person in particular. I would like to mention that I have previously interacted with someone who at least did work on the Smite data mining team. I won't mention them by name because I have no idea if they're even still affiliated. But yeah, I did a small project with them, and they were really cool and really passionate about Smite. And then they were into the data mining stuff because they just loved Smite and they just wanted to get more and more stuff out of it. So I imagine at least some of that comes through Rayo as well, where you'd have this passion for Smite where you want to see more and everything. And obviously they've chosen to display it through this website and everything. But them on their public persona, as I should say, is not something that I have ever seen anything positive over. So yeah, already starting on a low note for me, unfortunately.
Yeah, I have the same kind of view. This Rayo guy, obviously, what he does with the Smite data mining thing is separate. But for everything I've seen on this Twitter is just like weird or toxic or getting into arguments or disagreements with people for what looks to me like no reason. Like there is just starting up stuff for without needing to. Um, and I touched on this. 1,000 viewers on the website. That's not a lot on a normal like any website. If he gets 1,000 people looking at those ads, which I assume most people have ad blocker these days anyway, but if you are one of those few people that don't use ad blockers, let's be real nice and say let's say 900 people are going through that website out of the 1,000 without ad blocker. Even then, he's not gonna make much money off of that. Like
No,
I don't
yeah,
think this is his main job. Let's say.
yeah, yeah.
I
Yeah,
think
you would be making pennies
yeah.
in total
I,
off of all that.
I think the fact that Intersect and Weekend keeps making videos on it, it's a much bigger detriment to high res than him just having this website up. Obviously, they couldn't do it without the website, so it's like interlinked. But just the website existing is not enough to create this big of a storm that we're seeing
Yeah.
of this drama.
This is sort of what I touched on earlier of you can avoid it, right? If you
Yeah,
don't want to read what's on the data mining, you just don't click on it. However, if you happen to tune into it, I'm assuming they live stream going through these things as well,
I don't
or
know if
unless
they
it
live
is
stream.
just
I
a
know
video.
Intersect just records himself going through them,
Okay,
so I don't know if
so
he does it live.
if you happen to just see, oh, I want to watch an Intersect video, and the only one you haven't seen is this data mining thing, well, I might as well just click on it, just see what's going on, a lot of times these videos are watched by people who aren't even that interested in the data mining. They just want the personality, right? They just want
Yeah,
to hear Intersect talk about Smite for a bit. So you get this sort of, like you say, this exponential effect from this, where people might be tuning into data mining not because they care, but just because it's the video, the content of the day, and then they're finding out about this stuff that's coming up. Now it's their own fault for that, right? If you've chosen to watch a video, it's the same as clicking on the website itself. You are choosing to consume this data mining. You shouldn't. You then don't have a voice when it comes to complaining about it, right? You can't. Oh man, I didn't want to be spoiled over this. Okay, well, why'd you watch the video then, right? Again, I haven't watched these videos. I don't know the data mine right now. I'm not up to date with it. So I am outside of this. I feel like perfectly capable of criticizing data mining if I wanted to, but I'm not going to here because some people do like to see these things, and yeah, you have hit the nail on the head where having content based off of this data mining will be putting the word out there far more in a much more easy to consume way, right? I don't know
yeah,
if you ever seen that website with ads on, Nickel. It is a disaster to try to
yeah.
read.
It's horrible. It's
Back in the
actually
day
horrible.
when we were competing on the Smite Founders series, that was when I was hot on data mining because it was nice to know. Oh, hey,
Oh
Amanarasu's
yeah,
coming soon, right? Let me start thinking 4 weeks before she comes in about what that would mean and everything. That was when it was hot. Right now, nobody cares. Nobody's that into data mining for like competitive play, right?
yeah.
No one
Not
is
for
winning
competitive
Smite
play.
Prime because
Yeah,
they've subscribed to this site. But like I've been saying, you don't have to consume this content, but having it put in your face, not shoved in your face, right? I don't want to sound aggressively, but having, oh, hey, Intersect made a video about it. Well, I might as well. I like Intersect. I like watching YouTube videos. I'll just
yeah.
put this on. That is a much bigger amplifier than anything just on the
Exactly.
website.
It reaches way more people. It makes like him walking you through because the website, for those who haven't actually seen it, it is just like a Wikipedia page. It's just text.
Yeah,
There
yeah, yeah,
and a
yeah.
few images here and there. It's not like a nice looking, interactive. You can click on things type of website. It's just like very gray background, white text, very boring looking, and yeah, you have to actually read to find stuff. So it's not very nice
Hate that.
looking. But the way Intersect and Weekend, I assume, I haven't seen Weekend video, but I assume way they do it is more easily digestible for the everyman.
Yes. Yeah.
So yeah, like either that is like my main gripe with this point on for Chris's video is the fact that he's uh splitting those two, where data mining is bad, but Intersect and Weekend making videos on it is okay or good even,
Yeah.
and it's like you if data mining is bad, it's bad for everyone, no matter who's
Right.
doing it. Um, I guess the only way it could be good, because what he mentioned is he wants there to be content made from it or like have a positive spin. And so the only way it would if this Rayo guy wasn't the guy data mining. It was Intersect himself, or he hired someone to data mine,
Right.
and then instead of posting it out there on this horrible website with a lot of ads, he just got the information directly and made a video on it. Which that I guess is something people could discuss, but for now, this is what we have, and this brings me to my
Yeah.
next point. He says this is stealing, and it's not real work. Like it's not effort put in, and from my point of view, this is like investigative journalism. Okay, like it's not to the same pedigree and like big,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
good for the world type of thing, but it's work. It's actually work. He has to look through a big data set of a lot of
Yep.
files, a lot of numbers, a lot of things, and he's got to find these breadcrumbs of information that is, pertinent. And I honestly think it's admirable that someone can do this and someone does this for basically free. Because I don't think he gets a cut of the ads made from Intersect's video. you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
also the fact that Intersect makes videos on this makes less people go to the actual website because they don't have to go to the
Yep. Yep.
website to
Yep.
get the information, right? So, but I think it's to some extent admirable or impressive that he manages to extract this kind of information. Like, yes, to some extent, this is Hyra's own fault for leaving stuff in the game. But he has to sift through like such a big data set of information. I could never do it. I don't think. Like if someone just gave me all the same files, maybe even gave me the same tools, I don't know if I could even work with the tools that they have.
I was going to ask Nickel, have you ever tried looking through the Smite files
No,
on your PC?
no.
So I have,
Yeah.
because you can get some things from there that we've used in things like Pix and Ban software for broadcast, right? They have
Oh,
voice
okay. Yeah.
lines within there that you can actually take. However, I couldn't find any of this stuff. Like I've looked for what I've needed to, but it's not like you just stumble upon, I'm looking for voice lines. All right, yeah, Loki, Emir, Huster, who's that? Like, it's
You
not
don't
like
just
that.
happen
And then
upon,
you don't click on the file and then, oh look, it's all of the gods' information. No. It's not like that. I couldn't tell you the full process, but it is not just barefaced and easy to do. I would ask anyone to just try and do it. Right? Some people will be equipped. Some people will have the knowledge. The everyman, like you say, does not have the knowledge to do it. And the capability to do this type of thing. So to say there is no work involved wouldn't be fair. Is it not real work? I mean, maybe, right? You are just analyzing a data set.
I mean,
You
if that's not real
presumably have
work,
some
then
experience.
streaming is definitely not real work. Like
That is a hot point. That is a yeah.
Glass houses, Chris. No, but making content, in my opinion, is real work. Doing the
Yeah.
data mining stuff, if it's not real work, it's at least like it takes effort.
Yeah, for sure. It's a way to put it. Like I said, it's not something everyone could do. It is not something I can't imagine it's done quickly either. I imagine this is a lot of
Takes
time
some
and effort,
time, yeah.
and that would be why the website looks like ass, and
Yeah.
why it's not laid out in a nice, beautiful bow and everything. It's just, hey, this is the information I got here. You go read it, because you're pretty sick of it at that point.
Yeah. And then he says it's stealing. And this, like, I gotta be honest, when he was talking about this, it sounded like he was working for Hyres. But he did mention he was
Right.
an ambassador, so I guess he was talking from an ambassador standpoint. But like, Hyres is not a victim in this. Like, yes, they are technically uh a victim in this, but they're not like this poor indie game studio Hi-Res. Their whole, everything they're doing is being ruined by data mining. No.
Yeah.
I think even if their marketing goes down with this, it's not doing enough of a splash to ruin anything that they're doing. I don't think anyone has seen something being data mined, seen that it's the Colin's coming soon, and being super hyped, and then he hasn't come in, the next few weeks,
Yeah,
and
the
then they've
expected
just
time frame. Yeah.
they expected time, and then they've just not ever played Smite again. I don't think that's like that. If that happens, that person wasn't invested enough anyway, I think, to be a long lasting Smite.
They also probably didn't look at the website. They probably watched a video on it too. So that again,
Exactly,
where we have to go before that. If we're going to condemn it, we have to condemn the content on it as well.
yeah,
I would like to touch on. We have been running this podcast for a few weeks now. We have not delved into data mining here. We want to talk about releases and actual, processed information as it's fed to us type of thing. We're not looking to jump ahead with the data mining here because of
yeah,
this, because of these reasons, right? Where you could say it's not really guaranteed, it's not really something to rely on. But then again, if you are going to make content off of that, you cannot be on the team of anti-data mining,
yeah, exactly,
which
yeah.
which includes the people who are anti-data mining. You can't pick those up. Oh, these guys are okay. No, they're not. They're the bad guys here too,
Yeah,
right? Right.
exactly.
For this particular topic, you can't just pick and choose based on whether you like someone, right? Now, it does seem like this Rayo guy has ruffled a lot of feathers and
Yeah,
has caused some dislike, possibly and probably very well deserved, right? And this is, we've seen it multiple times, the Smite community as a whole is more than willing to just eject someone
yeah,
if they don't agree with what they're doing, right? So it's definitely possible that a lot of this is personal. I think also, and I want to put this in a positive light here for Chris, not making it fully negative, right? But as an ambassador and as a content creator who has been around for a long time, it is very, very likely that they have some connections with like maybe some of the dev team or whatever,
yeah,
like or just people who are more involved with high res, and they might have a different perspective on this, right? That they
of
maybe
course.
can't share. It is very. I could understand being a developer who we also don't know what this is like internally at high res, right? Let's say you're a developer and you're working on, you're working on eShell before eShell's been announced, and you've put some files in the game to test something and left it there accidentally. Do you get reprimanded for that, right?
Yeah, I mean that
Very
definitely is.
possible,
That's possible. Like
and then
whoever left Ching Chen into the live client,
yeah,
like
right. There is no way that was just like, ha ha, you left Jing Chen in. There is no way that went down that way, right?
yeah,
As much as we love to think of high res, it's like, oh, it's nice when they're just making a game, they're just fun devs. No. This is a business. They will have rules, they will have punishments and code of conduct and reprimands, etc. But then if you are, like I said, if you have a connection to someone who is on the dev team, for example, I would like to point out I have no such of these connections, right? So I have no idea what this, if it is actually like this. But if you do have a connection to someone on the inside, and they might tell you something that you can't share publicly, they might be allowed to share it with you. I'm not talking top secret stuff here, but you don't want to share that publicly and air that concern. But this might affect the dev team in certain ways, right? We don't know. But if you can't express that, right, that it's one very justifiable reason to be mad specifically at this one guy for doing it, right? If it is causing genuine professional harm to people, I could understand being irate at the data miner and not just the content creators. So I have a feeling there's a little bit of that going on, even if it's not, oh, Chris is friends with this dev, it must be them. No, it might just be a general thing, right? It might be a more general awareness of the impact it could have. So I think if we are talking about this in the sort of way of it could be affecting people professionally and it does do some harm, yes, there is maybe some responsibility off Rayo's back for this, but also kind of not really, man. If it wasn't him, it'd be someone else,
yeah,
And
exactly.
maybe
Yeah.
if that guy didn't go on ranting on Twitter in the same way, maybe he'd have less of a problem with it, right? But there would still be data mining. If there's a smidge of profit to be made, right? If there is a website you can make with a little bit of ad revenue coming through, someone will do it. So yeah, I think it is harsh to be so mad on the one guy behind the scenes on this.
Yeah. I mean, we're just to be clear, we're sympathetic towards Hi-Res. Like we understand why this would cause them strife, but if it was such a big problem as it's being presented here by Chris, and I assume, like you said, that he might have contacts that we don't have. He might be talking to developers from Hi-Res or employees directly that are saying this, like, oh, this new data mining thing ruined this big
Yeah.
promotional thing I had planned for the new skin or whatever, right? So we don't have all the information. I'm not pretending to have all the information. We are just talking from our viewpoint and our perspective. But if it was such a big problem, I would hope that Hi-Res would find it pertinent to stop it from happening by not leaving models in the live client. Like I think the Xingchen being in the live client shows that they are not focused on that, especially not now for Smite 2. Their focus isn't on
Yeah.
Let's make sure the game is completely free of any leaks ever. That's not their focus. It shouldn't be the community's focus, I don't think. And
Hmm.
most of the things on the data mining thing as well is characters we already know.
Hmm.
It's literally, when does the character that I've been waiting for so long, that was my Smite 1, like, this is what I assume most of the people going to that website or watching these videos are thinking. Hey, this video is mentioning Scotty. Scotty was my main character in Smite 1. Is there some news on when she's coming out? Because
Yeah.
that will make them excited to play the game.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that those are way more frequent than the people like looking for, oh, what's the new skin? Oh my god, a waffle skin. That's not. I don't think.
You're not. Oh, I need to see the data miner. What does the new Odin hot dog look like?
Yeah.
Please,
Oh
I need to
wow! I
find
can't
out.
wait to open my wallet for this new, like. Have you seen the new Odin hot dog? The like
Oh yeah,
bratwurst, like the bigger hot
yeah.
doggity diggity dog or whatever it's
I've
called.
seen that. I've seen the guy in the mankini as well. That one's pretty
Oh,
cool.
just yeah. Anyway, all right. My last point is, I don't think, if data mining wasn't a thing, I wouldn't hate it. The fact that it is a thing, I don't mind it. I don't go on there too often, but the fact that it's there and the fact that I can go and check, like, oh, when is Chulainn coming out? Like, he was one of the characters that I really looked forward to. It gives me, this extra little level of hype. For some people, it
Yeah.
might not, whatever. I think pointing all the hate, and especially as Chris, obviously he should be allowed to rant about this when he's so passionate about it, but he has to understand that this is focusing a lot of negative attention towards this one guy, Rayo, even though he might not be the greatest guy. Like, we don't know him, but from what we've seen, I also think he's kind of weird. But at least the things he shows on Twitter. But you are sending a lot of hate his way, and you got to
Yeah.
understand that as you, as a big content creator and big figure in the game, your responsibility of not just like sending your fans to go hate on people is kind of a thing too.
Like I say, we are assessing this off of publicly shown information, right? We have not DM'd these people or had private interactions over this stuff to get to form these opinions. This is just, hey, this is how you want to present yourselves publicly. That's fine, but we can also now criticize this, and like you say, it's very personal feeling coming from Christy Dixon, directed at Rayo, and that you know I even saw as I was turning off an alarm that I'd accidentally left on my phone. I saw a tweet pop up as a notification about, hey, like, we're kind of just airing stuff publicly, right? And yes, we are. I guess, like, if this is how the community's doing it, then people like us who are way far detached from this situation, right? We don't know these people, we don't interact with these people, but now we've heard about it so much that we've had to talk about it, right? I think
Yeah.
you were already looking into this, and then I've sent it to you, like, hey, look about this going on today, like, for the podcast, right?
Yeah.
If it's that big news that's been aired publicly, you kind of are just so open for this type of criticism, right? And in general, I don't know who really wins from this. Like, is this going to stop Rayo from data mining? Absolutely not. If anything,
No,
it's
no.
probably going to make them empowered more. From
Yeah.
what I've seen, they seem
I mean,
more
now
geared
he
up
might,
for it
yeah,
than
now he
ever.
might do it for nefarious reasons. Like, he's gonna look
Yeah,
for
yeah,
anywhere to.
like now you got more of a reason to want to data mine, because it is just giving like attention to this type of stuff as well. And then, like, do you really gain much as a content creator talking about this type of stuff? It is drama that, and the Smite community loves its drama. They might pretend they don't, but damn, they love it. And there's always something going on.
Oh,
But
dude, most of the
yeah,
things going on is
yeah,
like, I don't even
it is
want to
always things
mention.
like this.
I don't even want
Yeah.
to mention most of the stuff I've been seeing on this show. Like, it's actually wild, the things I see on Twitter that people are arguing about. Oh yeah, no. All right. Well, that was the drama for the week. Whatever viewpoints you guys have. I mean, if you like data mining, if you don't like data mining, let us know in the comments below. I'd
Absolutely.
like to get like my fingers on the pulse here to see what the general community feels, because I feel like for most casuals, they don't even know about this, they don't care about it, whatever.
Hmm.
But for anyone who might see this video, like, do you actually think data mining should be a thing? Should it not be a thing? Hyris has stated that they don't like it. Should we be respectful of their wishes over whatever the community kind of feels like they want? what is the what's the viewpoint here for you guys? Now, what we have a couple other points that we want to touch on. I don't know if you want to do the God of the Week thing that we had planned.
Do you have a wheel?
I
Or
do
are
have it
we able to
ready.
get one? Okay, if we have that, we
All
can
right,
get
then
to
we'll
that. I
do
think.
both. Yeah, then we'll do both.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
just so you guys know, before we make these shows, okay? Before we make these shows, I make a list of the topics for the week, okay? And Judas often contributes to that list, saying, "Hey, you should talk about data mining because there's a big thing going on." And what he messaged me a couple days ago, or a few days ago, was, "Hey, great new topic: big meaty men slapping meat." And then just period. And he sent that without any explanation as to what that is. Big meaty men slapping meat. Now, what am I to believe when I see this? I have no idea, but I added to the topic list. So Judas, here you go. Big meaty men slapping meat. Go for it.
It is how look. I don't get to cast that much anymore, right? And this is the type of thing I would have absolutely said on cast. In fact, I believe I have said this on cast because the meta right now is summed up as big meaty men slapping meat. I wanted to touch on it because I had an experience in a ranked game where I finally got to play Xingqian in a ranked game. By the way, it wasn't banned. I was top elo support. I was like, hell yeah, here we go. This was a 35-minute game, I think, and I dropped 55,000 player damage as a full tank style build. Because right now, for anyone who isn't aware, Shifter's Shield is a thing in the game.
Oh,
and
yeah.
it's kind of nuts. You just build it, you do more damage when you're healthy, you take less damage when you're not healthy. Crazy. It's like the opposite of that whole like toxic blade stuff where you want to be aggressive. This you just don't have to be aggressive. You just react to whatever's going on.
Yeah.
But you get into certain circumstances in the game right now where the pen items are not really strong enough, and the tanky items have been overbuffed. Now, they have talked about how they will get rid of this soon, but it's this current week, so we might as well talk about it now.
Yeah.
But yeah, we are in a situation where you have tanks that just do not die. The specific rank game I'm talking about is I was a Xingqian support, as mentioned, with an ally Jormungandr solo up against a Bacchus support and a Sobek solo on the other team. And on about 5 or 6 different occasions, a team fight would break out. Everyone dies except the 2 supports and the 2 solo laners. Right. There is no circumstance with 2 supports and 2 solo laners per team where anything in the map state changes. So what are we going to do? We're going to stand in the middle of duo lane and fight for 5 minutes. So much so that frequently we would be fighting and fighting and fighting, and then the team would respawn, another team fight would start and end with the tanks still just continuing to fight non-stop. Now, for anyone who can't do the quick maths, a Xingqian plus a Jormungandr absolutely destroys a Bacchus and a Sobek very, very slowly, but we always win. So there is no one who is shocked about the result of this, only the fact that it is going to take a very long time. And I hear you guys saying, but what if you take a lot of damage and then the Sobek ult comes through with that execute, right? It's percentage health based. That's cool. No, because I was prepared for this and I teched in a Scepter of Dominion. So literally, we had minutes go by of just people hitting each other and nobody going anywhere, right? Because whenever anyone gets low, people would run away and they're tanks, so they're hard to catch, or we just had health regen ticking up and down, etc. Now, I had this experience and I thought, that game was quite funny. Come to find out, that was just how every game was going right now. Everyone has gotten to this point where you can build something like Shifter's Shield, and there is not enough damage in the game to just get through these guys quickly. Like, people do die eventually, particularly if you just sort of stand there and slap meat. But man, it takes so long, and I don't know how we got from 3 weeks ago on the podcast, Nicholas, talking about how, man, they put all this pen in the game, now tanks are terrible.
Tanks are going to be useless.
And then they make one change, and it's like, everyone's building tanky, and nobody is ever dying.
Yeah.
It's almost a good sign on the balance aspect, where you think you could go from one extreme to another so quickly. But we've mentioned before, I don't know how it's okay that this can happen, right? How can we have a game state like this last so long and it's just kind of accepted? You know, there are still amateur leagues going on. We still have Smite Prime around this time. It might even be this weekend. I know it was around soon. We are playing, for things that matter. Oh, it's Smite Amateur League. Oh, it matters so much. But yes, it does matter to these people. It does matter to people who are playing.
Oh yeah.
And we're just going through random changes, right? Like 3 weeks ago, like I said, discussed a competitive match I had where all of a sudden a full int Neath is like the strongest thing in the world. Now all of a sudden a full int Neath would do absolutely nothing, and it's been three
Yeah.
weeks and only a couple of changes. It's just a little bit too volatile. But I was wondering, Nickel, what do you think about that? Again, coming into now that we've seen both sides of it in a short space of time, how do you feel about that, even in this sort of beta stage?
I mean, to me, it's definitely worse to have a tank meta over a burst meta. Even
Hmm.
though, like, but that again, it comes from me. First of all, I have through most of my career, I guess, quotes, through most of my life playing Smite, I've been a squishy, jungler, mid laner, ADC main role. So I enjoy the burst aspect and killing people more, but I think it's just more fun for the everyman.
Hmm.
Because seeing people blow up is fun, but it also leaves, for the casual players, they feel more punished by stepping out of position and such. So it might not be, for fun for everyone, like I imagine it is. But I think the fact that it can go this quickly from, like you said, like these polarizing positions from people are dying way too quick and tanks are useless to tanks are broken, we can't play anything but tanks, shows that the balancing right now is on a knife's edge. And I gotta mention this because I am a firm believer because I mentioned this, I don't know if it was on the test episode or the first episode we had, but in Counter Strike, we had this balance of a few guns that was
Yes.
unnoticed for years. Years went by without anyone ever trying to play with two guns that was never changed up or down. And then they got buffed a little bit, and everyone played them, and it was the most broken thing of all time. Then they nerfed them back to their original spot, and then people kept playing them because now they got a taste for it. So kept using those guns and found out they were always broken, like beyond broken for everyone. And then suddenly they had to nerf them below what they had been for the most,
For
like,
years, yeah.
yeah, for years, like throughout most of Counter Strike Global Offensive's life span. These guns were this broken and no one knew. And I'm a firm believer that that's the same thing as Might. Right now, we have this big feeling, and the thought is tanks are mega broken. And maybe in the upper echelon, that is true. Because in the upper echelon of games, people try out a bunch of new stuff. But there
Yep.
might be something out there that no one's thinking of right now. It might be a character or a few items in combination that makes this obsolete. But we won't know because things are changing way too quickly in this game.
Yeah.
You don't have time to breathe when it comes to balance. I don't think we should look at balance like this is why I think having a league right now is kind of weird because if I'm the greatest player on this patch in a couple weeks, my team might be the worst team in the league because we aren't good on
We don't
Ishel
play the
or
style, yeah.
Kokolin, like we are great on
Yeah.
Honor and Medusa, but we are not good with Rama and fucking Artemis, like so I think what you should, if you're a player right now and you're kind of frustrated with how things are in Smite, I think voice your opinion in the way you can. If that is just letting us know, letting someone else in the community know, or posting something on Twitter or YouTube video, whatever you want to do, just voice your opinion because Hyris is going to pick that up if they hear enough people. Um, if they hear enough people, sorry, if they hear enough people, if I say that too many times to know what I'm trying. If they hear enough people saying it, they will make changes, as we have seen now multiple times. And I think don't be too hung up on a meta being horrible. Just let them know. 1, 2, 4, 500 times. Let them know, just so they know, just so you know that they know, and then watch it change within a week or two. Because things are changing, like you said, way too quickly now to ever be stuck in a horrible meta for multiple weeks. We are past that. It's never gonna happen while they are doing 2 week big like patches this big for every 2 weeks.
I just think you're totally right, right? And that you will not get stuck in this. If you hate this meta, it's a horrible meta. You will not be stuck in it for that long because things will change. But what the issue I've got is that it seems like every meta is a horrible meta. We're just bouncing, we're
In
just cycling
between.
through
Okay,
between
yeah,
horrible metas right now
I see
with
what
no
you
time,
mean.
like you say, to counter it, right? There might be a cool
Yeah,
build that, counters out this shifter's shield on ADCs, right? Or that punishes them for going for this. But we don't know. And there's not really a point in working it out because, like you say, it's going to change soon. So there's
true.
what I've heard discussed from pro players in the past is that when so you're playing SPL, right? You're playing the meta as top of the meta as you can possibly pick.
You
And
might
then
have
they'd have like that
coaches
sort of,
testing out
yeah,
builds, all this kind of stuff.
you'd
Yeah.
have everyone figuring out exactly what the meta is, and then you're trying to play the meta as well as you can. Then you'd have one of those like mid-season tournament type things, and then what the goal is to counter the meta. You need to know exactly what breaks it so that you can
Because
overpower it that
everyone
way.
goes into that in a tournament with the same meta. Everyone knows exactly what the meta
Yes.
is. Everyone goes in wanting to play that meta because it's the top meta. But if you're the team that can break the meta, you're
Yes.
gonna come out on
That's
top.
how you win the tournament, right? That's
Yeah.
why you might. That's why, actually, if anyone's ever curious about this, you'd often see a team might come in really hot and then get to the tournament and then just kind of not collapse, but do a bit worse than you'd thought because it's not the meta that you want to be playing at that
Yeah.
point. That's why
Gotta
you often
adapt.
see it like a change up. Yeah, you have to adapt, and that's why the result of Worlds was not always, or in fact, probably not half the time, the result of the SPL. Right? It's not like the
Yeah.
top team always went through to win because that's how you play a tournament. It's much different. Right now, there is no point even thinking that way because, like I said, you have a meta that is just going to change very, very quickly, and it's a shame in some ways because you might find a meta that you really like,
Mm,
and then but
right.
I know it's not going to
Right.
last. And what if you can't play that much this week, And
Mm,
well, there's a new
true.
patch, new change. I personally would like maybe I don't mind these big swings of metas, but maybe if there was a bit more of time, right? I don't know if you remember in season, I think it was season 9, where they called it like the season of seasons or something, and then it was like they
Oh
changed
yeah,
the season
right.
of the map and everything
It
and make a
was
big change.
year 9,
Yes,
season
yeah,
1, season 2, season 3.
whatever it was. Yeah, you'd
Yeah,
had like different seasons throughout. That was cool, right? Because you knew this is how it is for a while. Hotfix anything that's broken, right? And I mean like actually not working correctly. Just because it's strong doesn't mean it's ridiculous. But if it's not working correctly, absolutely change it, fix it, whatever. Add your new god. Maybe make some tweaks with the god balance, right? But when it comes to items, having like item overhaul again, it's like, man, like we just did this. I know we're having an ADC item overhaul next. And like, cool, that might change things a bit. But if it's still this sort of tank regen healthy meta, then you're not really going to be able to experiment with these builds because if it doesn't counter this current meta, what's the point playing Silver Branch Bow, right?
yeah.
Toxic Blade could be huge right now, actually. So it might be that these 3 items come in, everyone builds Toxic Blade, and then the data comes through. Oh man, nobody likes Silver Branch Bow. Let's change it. But that's not what we need, right? We need to have more stability to allow us to figure out where these items sort of be and everything. And I think that's sort of why I wanted to talk about like just the shock of the meta today. Like if you boot up the game today, you're going to be playing with some tanky characters. Probably breastplate of valor in mid lane. Probably a shifter's shield in dual lane. Right? It's like there is a genuine case to have every single member of a dual lane start shifter shield right now. Like you could have 4 gods all building bluestone shifter shield potentially.
Mm,
And that's just how it is right now because Shifter Shield is so good. Now that's why it's getting a nerf, etc. And other items are getting a nerf around it. But now we're going to go the other way, right? We're going to be like, all right, well, if all these good items be nerfed, I'm just not going to play tank at all then. And yeah, we're yo-yoing a little bit, and it's
yeah.
not really my preferred way to do it. but I can understand the variety, at least in, like you say, you're not going to get stuck in a bad patch for too long because it will at least change to a new patch.
Yeah, I mean, there's two aspects to this, right? You have the high risk aspect where if they are stuck on a meta for too long, like no matter what the meta is, if the meta was fucking perfect, they would still get complaints, right? Because
Yes, yes,
you can't have it perfectly balanced for everyone and everyone love it. And if they if they keep that meta, if they just come out and say, hey, we're gonna stay on this, just so you have time to, yes, we're gonna release a new god every 2 weeks, but this meta is here to stay for 2 months, let's say. They are gonna get so many hate messages and hate threads made on Reddit, and people are gonna complain. And if you're high res, there comes a breaking point. This
yeah,
is like what do you
absolutely.
say with what you see with economy in the real world. There is something a country has to do. It's lower interest rates, lower interest rates to fight inflation, or increase interest rates to fight inflation, or lower interest rates so that the economy booms, but inflation also booms.
Yes,
Um, and you see this. No one wants to make the hard decision to fight inflation because it fucks with the people who have the most money and the most power. They don't want to do that, and the guy who has to decide this, he doesn't want to sit there getting berated every day for the next 7 months, just listening to everyone hating on everything he's doing. Same thing with Hyras. They don't want to be sitting there hearing the whole community fight against them, because what if they find something that they think is balanced, but the whole rest of the community doesn't think so?
yep,
Like, who's right there? Is it just the community for not trying to understand the meta, or is it Hyros' fault for
for not
giving us a
adjusting.
bad
Yeah,
meta to begin with, a bad balance? But then the other aspect is the community who, if you don't give us enough time, like you said, we're not going to be able to figure it out. And
yeah,
because we always know that it's going to be quick, what people do, this is just human psychology, you're going to take the first best thing you see. Okay? So if the first thing you see is that Scylla is broken with these items, you're just going to pick Scylla, build these items for the rest of the patch. And
yep,
everyone's going to say that's the most broken thing of all time. Scylla's going to start getting banned, and you swap to another character that is similar and, builds similar. But no one dares to venture past that because you only have 2 weeks to figure out something else that's good,
yep,
and no
yep, yep.
one has to, like, that's not enough time for for people to actually discover what's good and everything. So I feel like for the most part you see this new item come in, or an item get buffed, and people just assume immediately that that means the item is good. So now we're only building that item for the rest
Now we're
of the
building
patch.
that.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah,
And that also fucks with Hyros' own metrics and how they
yeah,
balance,
yeah,
I
yeah,
think.
yeah,
Because
yeah.
if they see a lot of people picking Scylla in this example, that doesn't mean that Scylla is the best character. They just see a lot of people building and banning her because the first thing people saw day one was that a lot of people picked Scylla. So they're like, oh, that
Yeah,
must be the
yeah,
most broken shit.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, you say that, like they look at these metrics and everything, and you think like, you know, I mentioned earlier, has Rama been good throughout any point in Smite 2? I wouldn't really say so. Therefore, data says Rama is already unpopular god. Let's not give any skins for Rama. It's like, well, no,
Mm,
not
yeah.
necessarily. It's just if the god doesn't perform, it's quite frustrating to play. And yeah, if it wouldn't be an issue if the decisions weren't data driven, right? And
Yeah.
they're supposed to be data driven. It's correct. But then again, you have these fluctuations in gods and everything, and everyone's always playing this god and that god. Like Bastet comes out, and everyone's playing Bastet. It's not because she's popular; it's because she was nuts broken. She might also be popular, but
Yeah.
she just was so easy to play and easy to do well on that it's going to be a popular release. Whereas Cuchulainn is coming out now. That's been one of the most requested gods, as they keep stating. If Cuchulainn sucks, no one's gonna play it, right? Like people will try it, but it's not going to be this sort of, we love Cuchulainn, so everyone's trying to pick Cuchulainn every game. They're not going to if the god is just not that strong. So then they might start thinking, oh, hold on, well, if we thought this god was popular, but then we put them in and nobody played them, then man, it just means that people aren't really taking these votes seriously or whatever. It does skew with your data when you can't make these extra considerations for the god balancing and everything. So I just hope that we get to a more settled point. Again, we discussed Smite 1, right? So Smite 2 1.0, when that eventually comes out, we need to be past this, right? We absolutely need to be past these sort of huge variations in balance, at least unplanned. If you
Yeah.
do a big new season, big patch, cool. It should shake up the meta. Mid-season patch, yeah, probably should also shake up the meta, right? But if you're just like, oh, you know what, it's 3 months since the new patch, and Breastplate of Valor is performing pretty well, so we've removed the cooldown reduction from it. Oh, new meta, completely change everything, right? You shouldn't be doing that, right? We want to make sure that it is as consistent as possible when it's supposed to be consistent, and then have the willing shakeups later on. Because yeah, we're still at a very volatile stage, and we can be sympathetic to that. It is open beta as discussed. I would just like to see a little bit less, because it's been a quite whiplashy lately.
Yeah. Man, you did a great job filling there. I gotta be honest. I was working this. I was trying to work this shit out. But yeah, we mentioned the wheel earlier. Just to completely pivot to another point. So here we go. Let me see if I can fit this in nicely.
Oh, we're nearly there. He's doing it live. You're just not seeing it. I promise.
Live. We're doing it live. Okay, we're gonna do that just so it fits even more perfectly. Sorry, guys. We're doing it live. Okay.
Say with it.
So
benefits
this is
of watching
a wheel
it live. Here we go.
Of every character, including Chulainn, including Ishel, but no other Smite 1 characters, only the ones that are in Smite 2. And what we thought we could do, or what Judas thought, is the one that reached the subject, is that we spin this wheel, and then we talk about the god. What's good about the god? What's bad about the god? Where the god kind of is in terms of what we had last time, where we talked about, I mean, most people wouldn't have seen this, but last episode we talked about, good design for gods. And there were certain gods there that you brought forward 3 gods on her, Naja, and
Guan Yu.
Guan Yu that you thought were great god design, and you had your reasons for that. And then I brought Ulder, Susano, and
Bro, it's your god. I wasn't listening. Come on, man.
You weren't listening? Oh my god. Why can't I remember?
You brought... I can't remember.
I can't.
Scroll, quick.
Agni.
We're
there we go.
Agni, yes, that's right.
Yeah.
I knew it was a mage.
So we thought maybe extend that subject a little bit. Maybe get into some negatives about these gods as well. Either way, we're going to spin the wheel. Let's see what character we get.
But we don't do negatives on this podcast, Nicola. What are you talking about?
Let's hope it's
I love this to just pull up Jing Chen or something that we've already discussed.
This is a good one.
Lately.
Artio.
Okay, cool.
And yeah, move that one so we still have the list until next time. Okay, Artio. While you talk about Artio, I'm gonna find a nice little thing about Artio.
Okay, cool. So, I obviously I'll compare Smite 1 Artio to Smite 2 Artio. So, Artio was a god I didn't really like throughout Smite 1 because she was considered sort of this female King Arthur, right? Where you just had all these different abilities that just did effects, and the effects were almost more impactful than the damage, but the fact was that they also did pretty good damage too, so you were just kind of always getting hit by stuff. It wasn't until pretty much the end of Smite 1 that I really got to appreciate the god, and sort of appreciate the things that they do provide, particularly from a support point of view, as I was coming from. I found the sort of play potential you can have with a god that has multiple ways to interrupt different gods depending on what they're doing, right? So you have obviously that bear form stun, which is classic stun, right? If there's a channeled ability coming through, you can cancel it. Awesome. But then the cripple field as well. I think. Oh, is that Entangling Vines or is that Kurnonos too? I can't remember. But the sort of cripple field you can put down was really, really cool in that it countered certain gods really, really well and did absolutely nothing to other gods. So I liked that you had to think about exactly how you'd when you'd pick the god and how you'd play the god. But Artio's god that you, Nickel, probably don't have too much experience with, actually, with
I
especially your
don't.
background.
The only thing I know is that Artio is great against people with jumps and dashes and stuff, and as the squishy character with usually picking into an Artio or with an Artio still open in the draft, like when I was playing amateur pro or just scrimming or even in ranked. Like if I see an Artio or if I know there might be an Artio on the field later, I gotta pick my character accordingly. And it was pretty much just like, don't pick someone that's super reliant on their dash because she's just gonna fuck you up. But other than that, like I obviously played her a little bit, and I think this is another stance character that I really like the way they've done it, where it's the two stances are very clearly distinct from each other.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
I talked about this during my Uller talk like last week, where I think the way they've done Uller is great, where the two stances are very distinct. Whereas Tyr, for example, the two stances are not very distinct. And I think you touched on Arthur, King Arthur. I also think the two Arthur stances aren't very distinct
Yeah.
either. It's just big sword with different types of abilities. Whereas Artio, like the bear, and visually as well, is very nice, right? Because you know exactly what's coming at you. If you see a bear, there's the dash, there's the stun, and she's gonna claw at you and do a lot of damage. If she's now, especially in Smite 2, I also like that they added the fucking basic attack on her is now ranged on her human form, because that wasn't in Smite 1. But when she's in human form, you know it's more of the healing, the setup type of character. So yeah, I mean, I really like Artio. I think she is one of the characters that I don't think I would change anything if someone asked me like, what does this character need differently? I wouldn't change a thing other than stats. Like it's just about balancing. But I think the concept, the abilities work well in tandem, and the character like functions well as a whole.
Yeah, I think the only issue Artio really has in Smite 2 is she suffers a little bit with the smoothness of her kit. So particularly the stance switching has like a little bit of a hold up on it, which is the exact type of thing they've removed from Jing Chen.
The
Like
stutter,
with the jumps, it was that sort of stutter, right? Whereas Artio actually would benefit a lot from not having that. So one thing you can do on Artio, which it's still possible, right? But it's not, again, it's not really worth trying. So let's say you are an Artio support and you're playing up against a Chiron, and uh, you want to catch the dash, right? That's the big thing on trying to take out Chiron in this situation. Now, what you can do, but you don't really want to do, is you don't want to block the dash, right? If you get on top of Chiron and you drop that cripple field and they cannot dash, that is good, right? It's a good way to gang. The next level up is to get them to dash and then cancel it with the cripple, right?
Yeah.
You want them to not be crippled so that they can still use the dash, and then you want to interrupt it because then they've used the cooldown and don't have it, right? It's that's that next level up. What you should be able to do on Artio, and again you can, but it's a lot harder to do, is activate the cripple field on the human form, stance switch to the bear form, and then run at someone with the cripple field still activated because it still holds that even when you switch forms. The problem you've got is because of that little hold up and the sort of stutter between you, like you activate the cripple field and it's got like, I don't know if she like hits the ground or whatever, but it sort of holds you there for a moment where you kind of can't do anything. Then you have to switch stance and then it holds you there for a little bit. That almost uses like 2 seconds. Now you consider the travel distance you have to do with that bear form, it's just kind of unreliable.
Yeah.
Whereas if you could sort of boom, boom, dash, it's like cripple field, switch stance, dash straight away in a smooth movement. That could be really, really cool. And I think that's the way to level this character up because, like I said, it doesn't really need to change at base.
Yeah, it's this like you mentioned with the Xing Chen. This is a type of character that should really benefit from it being Unreal Engine 5. And right now we're not seeing that. So yeah, not to end on a negative point, but the Hi-Rez, get to it. Let's fix up the characters. All right, that was a little short on Artio. I think we're probably gonna.
Oh, I do have one other little touch.
Go for it.
Yeah. So Artio aspect, very, very cool concept.
Yeah.
Very, very sad in execution. I don't know if you actually know the two ultimates that Artio gets.
I know the
In
bear
this one.
spin.
Yeah, the best
That's
duo.
the,
So there are two. One of them, I couldn't tell you the names of these, unfortunately. We'll work some names out for them, no doubt. But the druid stance one has this really awkward ultimate. So it is basically, for anyone who's played Overwatch, and I'll try to think if there's a Marvel Rivals equivalent. It is basically Kitsune Rush from Overwatch. It's quite literally you fire out a bear, like a spiritual bear, and then that pathway, I think it roots enemies if it hits them, and then that pathway becomes like a speed boost for your team, right? So the
oh.
idea is you throw that spiritual bear down, and then you all pile onto whoever you ended up hitting with it. That has got like the worst delay post fire of any ability in the game. Like you like put it down, and then it goes, and it's like at that point, like yeah, like you've already done whatever you wanted to do with it, combined with the fact that like nobody plays Artio aspect, so your team has no idea what you just did. So they're like, "Oh, what was that? Was that a bear?"
Yeah.
Oh, they're gone now. Oh well, opportunity missed, I guess.
And if they do play Artio aspect, they only play bear. So
yeah, that's the thing. Like you tend to switch to the bear because the bear in general has a bit of a nicer time, and the bear ultimate is that little bit better. So it's like you call the like circling bears, right? So it's got like these spiritual bears,
much like the Gilgamesh ult, right? Like where
yes,
it knocks you
so
back into it.
It's a large circle that actually closes in, and it starts off quite wide, and then at every spin it sort of gets narrower and narrower, and it's supposed to, at least I believe it's intended to have somewhat of a whirlpool effect, right? So basically, if you get hit by the bear, that by one of the three bears that are spinning around, you get knocked back into the center.
Mm-hmm.
You can walk out of it if you manage to dodge the bears.
Yeah, exactly.
But because again, nobody plays this aspect, you encounter it very rarely. When you do encounter it, you might bump into a bit. Oh, did I just get knocked back in? And then you backstep and you walked out. Like, wait, did it hold me in? I don't even know. It's like this fake wall going on. It's like playing Crash Bandicoot, where you have to like jump through the gap to like make it out. But like, what other ultimate has that? Right? Like you think like Odin's cage. Like yes, you have to break it down and then you take damage and then you leave. But that's a genuine like debuff, right? If you're spending 5 basic attacks on a cage instead of the Odin is still gaining. You still take damage. You still have the slows and the anti.
Especially early
everything
game
still
where
affects
5
you.
basic attacks takes longer than the Odin ult is actually up.
Exactly, right? Like it's not nothing even if you just break out of it. But like the Artio, like you can just walk out of it. Like I guess maybe Who Yield is similar to that, but even then, it's already done its job. If it's put the wall up and it's done that little bit of damage, that's what that ultimate's supposed to do. This Artio one is just so strange. It's just such a weird execution. It could be a really strong ultimate, and maybe that's why they wanted to make it not so. Because again, if it's like a portable Odin ring, right? Like imagine if you could just place that on someone, that would be really strong. So I get why they maybe tried to add this sort of counterplay, but the counterplay isn't supposed to be like, oh, you can just avoid it even after it's out, right?
Yeah.
Like if someone misses, fine, it's a skill shot, but you can nail someone right in the middle, and then they just, oh, okay, I'm gonna walk out now. Or if they have a quick dash, like let's say it's an Ishtar who is like a relatively fast dash, and it's like, oh, there's my window, I dash out. Like that's not counterplay. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, it's the type of aspect I think they should encourage, where it's like a real variation, including adding abilities. Very cool, right way to do it. I think that aspect could do a little bit of work, or just take it out, man. Regular audio is just fine. Maybe rethink it entirely.
Yeah, I think they should be way more. Like they should be quicker to just remove aspects that didn't hit. I feel like there's so many aspects in the game right now that just aren't hitting, and Chulainn is going to be one of them. Mark my words. It's just going to be one of them. I'm sorry. But yeah, like save the aspects for something actual creative and fun. You know, the Artio's one was creative, is creative and fun, but the execution isn't right now. So yeah. Anyway, why don't you sign us off, Judas? Because I keep signing us off and I intro us. So why don't you give the spiel?
I get to sign us out. All right. Well, this has been InstantCast. Hopefully, you will eventually see this on the InstantCast YouTube, but eventually we'll get it there. But yeah, of course, if you want to watch us on Twitch, it is twitch.tv/InstantCast. Same on Twitter. Same on, I think, if we got a Reddit now, InstantCast Reddit,
Yep.
right? You can find our posts on there, particularly when we do get these posted, and hopefully InstantCast on YouTube as well. For now, just check out Nickel on YouTube. There'll be something there from us. But yeah, it's been Judas, it's been Nickel. Hope you've had a nice time listening, and we will catch you guys for the next episode next week.
Bye bye.